Hokage I can fully level up with one click. Chapter 241-260. Chapter 241 _ What the hell is this? Uncle, why did you cover it up? Are you angry? Niyugito looked at the cauldron eagerly. The scent filling her nostrils made her turn on the rocking mode again. The two big-tailed beasts hanging on Chinyu's body even stared wide-eyed and yawned, and even Chinyu's clothes were directly wet. Samui and the others on the side did not ask any further questions, but their faces were full of urgency. Don't shake it, I'm not the same as your stingy bag. Chinyu raised his hand and flicked Niyugito's forehead, looking at the steaming cauldron, and said, "It will probably take 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Boss, hurry up and find a place to let us out." The voices of the two-tailed beasts sounded in Chinyu's mind, and the words were full of urgency. In their eyes, the cauldron was 70 or 80 centimeters in diameter, but it was still far from their huge body. If it is restored to its original shape, it will be the best way to plug the Kiba seam. As soon as they saw the 7 or 8 little kids here, and Niyugito, the coveted lowly head, the two-tailed beasts became restless. This is Kumogakure village. There are 2 big-tailed beasts. If you cancel the transformation technique, you will shrink in size, but I am afraid you will be recognized. Chinyu raised his brows and said, "Why didn't you bear with me? Next time I will all give you something to eat." "No," the two-tailed beasts shouted in unison. The next moment, the suggestion given made Chinyu's face instantly bewildered. "Boss, we can become Erha. Monkey's transformation technique is definitely the best in the ninja world." Sanwei was the first to speak. The 4 tails on the side also nodded in agreement. "Hurry up and let us out, that girl can't believe it. If it's too late, I'm afraid I can only lick the pot." These words fell, and the eyes of the two-tailed beasts became hot. Staring straight at the steaming heat of the cauldron, they completely turned the ferocious tailed beast into Erha's life. "Boss, don't hesitate," Sanwei urged urgently. "There are still 6 minutes, if you delay any longer, you will miss the time." "Boss, if you don't let us out, you'll go crazy." 4 Tails licked the yawn at the corner of his mouth and echoed. Looking at the 2 big-tailed beasts, Chinyu helplessly rolled his eyes and said, "Kimimaro, go and summon the ninja dogs. They have worked hard on the way." Ninja dog. Samui was stunned. In her eyes, Uchiha Chinyu possessed such a powerful strength that he should have signed a powerful contract beast. Although the ninja dog is loyal to humans, its role on the battlefield is to assist, track, and actually fight, but it will be minimal. However, after thinking about it, Samui quickly relaxed. Most of the powerful contracted beasts are inherited from the family. A small part of it is the directional contract scroll provided in the village for selection. In the end, it relies on personal encounters to gain the favor of the contracted beast. Among them, the inheritance of Mount Myoboku in the original work was obtained by Jiraiya by mistake. Whether it is Namikaze Minato or Naruto, even Sarutobi Konohamaru can summon toads because it is passed down from generation to generation. If it is a slug, contracted beasts such as ape demons, etc., it is a family inheritance type. In Samui's eyes, Chinyu is just Akatsuki's little wandering ninja leader, and it's not bad to be able to come this far with his own strength alone. If you still want to have a contracted beast like Hanzo of the Salamander, then a Megakure village has already changed. Ninja dog. Kimimaro was stunned, looking at the 2-tailed beasts that Chinyu handed over and transformed into ornaments. His cheek muscles were twitching. However, with that fiery gaze, Kimimaro hurriedly summoned the ninja dog. In case of delay, let the 2-tailed beasts remember, it is not a joke. "Uncle, can't you just let me enjoy it for one time?" Niyugito pouted and complained. She has seen with her own eyes the pattern of the 2-tailed beasts hanging open. Now the cauldron is not big anymore. If the 2 big-tailed beasts are open 3 to 5 times, it will be a nightmare. However, before Chinyu could speak, a figure descended from the sky and landed not far from Samui. Teacher Dodai. Samui froze for a moment. Yuhi's lips parted slightly, but he stopped talking. Dodai waved his hand, frowned and looked around. When he saw the broken refugee camp, his brows were even tighter, and he said, I got a report just now that Jinmu and Silvermu came here to make trouble. It seems that you didn't. Seriously. Having said that, Dodai looked at the cauldron that Chinyu was holding, and there was a large basin several circles bigger than the wash basin. Under the steaming water, it seemed like a good day. Master Dodai, there was indeed a little conflict just now. It's just, Samui explained in a hurry. However, it was quickly interrupted by Dodai again. It's fine if nothing happens. Try to avoid conflict with their clan during this time. If you have anything to do, wait for the 4th generation of Reikage to come back and deal with it. Also, Niyugido, which is not the same as their identity, if you are hungry, you will apply for some food. Although the war control is stricter, I will open my eyes and close my eyes during this time. In Dodai's eyes, most of the refugee camps are wild vegetables, milk, and grains. If Chinyu was an outsider, he would be too lazy to care. But Niyugido, but this time the two-tailed Jinchuriki column force fits the highest container. Case she really becomes a Jinchuriki column force and feels wronged by the village, it will not be easy to increase her sense of belonging to the village in the future. This is a bit of a loss. Therefore, at this juncture, it is also the best investment to give the future people Jinchuriki column strength and sell some favors. HMPH, ignorance. Niyugido glared disdainfully, and said, how can a common man like you figure out your uncle's cooking skills? Wait a moment, don't be greedy. Ghost spirit, don't be rude. Chinyu patted Niyugido's head and said, you are also a guest when you walk through the door. Although it's just a small dessert, it's not a big deal, but Senior Dodai, if you don't mind, you can also try it. Quote. It's almost time to open the lid. As Chinyu spoke, he lifted the lid of the pot with his backhand. The transpiring water vapor rose into the sky, and the ginger juice and milk fragrance scattered with the wind rolled back the whole world, filling the nostrils. The special and unfamiliar scent caused everyone in the field to take a deep breath. Even Dodai, who was originally resisting, took a puff involuntarily. Looking at the cauldron, the white flowers were mixed with anko and ginger slag, and the ginger was bumping into milk. While giving people an inexplicable sense of joy, there is a feeling of increased appetite. What exactly is this stuff? Chapter 242 make you qualified to be a shadow. Chinyu ignored the gazes of the others, took out the small bowl, slammed anko jang into the milk, filled a bowl, and handed it to Dodai. Try it, it's not poisonous. Uncle, give it to me quickly, otherwise those two guys will come back, and I will have no chance. Niyugido came back to his senses and became anxious. In the face of this unusually strange food, there are very few opportunities to start stealthily and grab food from the tiger's mouth. Thinking of the 3-to-5 split between the two big-tailed beasts, Niyugido didn't care to wait for Chinyu's approval, hurriedly grabbed the spoon and rushed over. Chinyu rolled his eyes helplessly, took an extra bowl, and handed it to Samui, who was hesitant, and said, it's not good for you to suffer from the cold in this special period. This thing can ward off cold and warm your stomach. You can taste it. You, how do you know? Samui's cheeks slightly yuhi, instantly stunned. For girls, this kind of thing is kept secret. Now that Chinyu's words are broken, if it weren't for the attention of others, Zhang Zhengnai would have been attracted. She can't wait to find a hole to get in. He subconsciously took over the handed Zhangzong milk, watching the trembling vibration, exuding an attractive ginger juice and milky smell. Samui couldn't help gulping down his saliva. Boss, you didn't wait for us. Two shrill roars came from a distance. Soon Samui saw two ninja dogs with extreme speeds like afterimages, instantly spanning a distance of tens of meters and appearing in front of Zhang Chong's milk. Looking at Niyugito, covering his cheeks with an intoxicated expression, Samui couldn't help but slam the Ankojang on the spoon into the milk and put it in his mouth. At the moment of entry, the spicy ginger juice is accompanied by the taste of milk. The tender taste, as well as the glutinous and powdery feeling of Anko, made Samui's eyes widen. The moment he swallowed and fell into his stomach, Samui's delicate body twitched. In that instant, she felt a warmth that swept her entire body in her stomach. In the village of Kumogakure, that annoying cold is gone. This kind of feeling of comfort in the whole body, as if it was touched by a high pressure at that moment. Let Samui finish a mouthful, and can't help sending another mouthful. Once this rhythm is opened, the whole person is like a demon, and the Ankojang in the bowl is swept away. The next moment, Samui looked around the big pot that had been fighting in a ball, his eyes lit up, exuding wildness, and he rushed up directly. Seeing this unusually lively scene, Dodai, who was still hesitant, couldn't hold back even more. In his eyes, as an elite ninja with a pivotal position in Kumogakure village, he would never eat this kind of thing with lowly refugees. However, curiosity can kill the cat. Dodai would ignore it if it was a single person's behavior, but it seems that even Samui has left his usual modesty behind. Instead, Dodai couldn't hold back his breath. Looking at the spoon, it was swaying, exuding an unusually attractive fragrance. Dodai couldn't help swallowing a mouthful of saliva, and hesitantly sent it to his mouth. Mouth and close your mouth. The smooth ginger slammed into the milk, with a spicy taste and a faint milky taste, mixed with Anko's fragrant glutinous rice, slurped, and slid directly into the mouth. The warmth that swept through his stomach gave him a warm feeling from the inside out to the cold hands and feet he had just recovered from soaking in the water. The strange feeling caused Dodai's eyes to stare, and at the same time, he hurriedly slammed the Ankojang in the bowl into the milk and sent it to his mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fist-sized bowl made Dodai gobble up, but in just a short moment, it was completely wiped out. Thinking of the Ankojang bumping into milk on the big bowl, Dodai also had the cheeks and said anxiously, "Can you give me another bowl?" "No," Chinyu's voice followed. This made Dodai, who had just summoned up his courage and asked for it with a cheeky face, couldn't hang his face a little. However, when I saw clearly, the figure that almost dug through, while holding the belly lying on the ground, was stunned. Hiccup. I ate 18 bowls, and this time won. Niyugito picked Kiba's teeth, whitening 2 erhas lying on his body, and said proudly. Cut. I ate 20 bowls. I have 22 bowls. The 3 tails and the 4 tails hurriedly fought back. There must be a bottom line in being a human being, and being a tailed beast is no exception. At least, stick to the threshold of this foodie, and even bragging will make you look like Yuhi, and you won't be out of breath. I ate 7 bowls too. Samui's cheeks slightly swelled, feeling his swollen belly. He couldn't help loosening the waistband of his trousers, but his unfinished expression was clearly still on his mind. As for Karui and other little kids, although their fighting power is not as good as them, they have eaten 3 or 4 bowls, and their whole body feels warm, and even their little cheeks are a little more Yuhi moist. Watching this scene, Dodai's cheek muscles twitched uncontrollably. The taste of the fragrant teeth and cheeks, I haven't tasted it carefully, but now I tell him that it will end before it starts. This feeling is too uncomfortable to ride a horse. When he thought of the bitter fruit he got by pretending to be forced at the beginning, he could not wait to slap himself. Nagato, don't you still have a bowl in your hand? Can you give it to me? Dodai's eyes lit up, and he said cheekily. At this moment, he couldn't care too much. In order to figure out the taste of this thing, he had already poured out his face. I'm sorry, this is for the wounded. Chinyu glanced at the broken refugee camp with a smile, and said, however, I will continue to work on it tomorrow, and you can come here according to the time. Smelly old man, you have tasted the power of my uncle. This taste is unforgettable in a lifetime. Please be early tomorrow. Niyugito glanced frivolously. This brought Dodai to an end. Chinyu didn't think too much of it either, grabbed Enkojong into the milk, and walked straight to Darui. Are you awake? Chinyu glanced at him, and Dalui, who was still pretending to be asleep, said, is it because I hate myself for being too weak, or I am too hungry to open my eyes? If you want to become stronger, I may be able to help you. Can you help me? Darui suddenly opened his eyes. It has to be said that Darui's own physique is also pervert under the technique of rejuvenation and blood-enhancing pills, and he recovered 7 to 88 in just half a day. Looking at Darui, whose face was still pale, Chinyu handed over the Enkojong Chong milk in his hand, and said, eat it, if you feel that your strength has recovered, I should be able to make you qualified to become a shadow. Qualifications to become a movie. Darui was stunned. In his eyes, this is an unattainable goal. Samui, the eldest sister who has been guarding them, didn't have the confidence to say such a thing. The person in front of him gave him this kind of promise, and the gap was a bit big. Chapter 243_Haley Inheritance Hall. Are you kidding? Darui couldn't help himself. The pressure he has encountered in the past few years is vivid in his mind. In particular, when the two-tailed Jinchuriki column force and the third-generation Raikage died, and when the fourth-generation Raikage was not in the village, some hawkish clans attacked them even more. If it wasn't for Samui's support, I'm afraid they would have starved to death. It is because of this kindness that Darui did everything he could to deal with Jinmu and Silverwood just now. I thought it would end in a mortal fate, but I never thought that I would be saved by the person in front of me. I'm joking, you'll know if you try it. Chinyu said with a dry smile, but if you don't try, you may be a weak person who needs protection for the rest of your life. The weak. Darui was stunned for a moment, then a flash of determination flashed on his face, and said, I want to become stronger, strong enough to protect anyone. Determination is good, courage is not bad, but the belly is not up to expectations. Hurry up and eat, recover, I will tell you how to become stronger. Chinyu smiled and glanced at Darui's belly like thunder, and handed Enkojong Chong milk over. Looking at this strange food, Darui was stunned at first, and the moment he entered, his pupils couldn't help but dilate. The next moment, the gobbling mode was directly turned on. When I ate it upside down, I found out that I didn't have to refill it, and I got an early reply tomorrow. However, it was precisely because he had tried this unusual food that Darui had an inexplicable expectation in Chinyu's mouth. Senior Dodai, the big thing is bad. A Kumogakure Anbu quickly swept up in the distance, landing on Dodai's side during several ups and downs. Looking at the sudden appearance of Anbu, Dodai's face changed drastically. He grabbed his shoulder and said, what happened? Anbu of Kumogakure looked around nervously, then lowered his voice and whispered in Dodai's ear. Few seconds, Dodai's face changed one after another, and the process was comparable to the face change of Sichuan opera. Looking at Dodai with a livid face at the end, Samui also realized that something was wrong and hurriedly asked, Mr. Dodai, if there is an emergency, I can go to support. Akatsuki's Nagato, also the Grand Master's sealing technique. Samui, don't talk nonsense. Dodai looked back at Chinyu and said, it's just a small accident on the battlefield, and the sealing technique is not needed at all. However, for safety's sake, bring Niyugito with me to meet the elders. This is an order from above, and no one can refuse it. Having said that, Dodai looked at Niyugito with a reluctant expression. However, Niyugito also knew the importance of obeying orders, and was reluctant in his heart, but after looking at Chinyu, he obediently agreed. Dodai secretly breathed a sigh of relief and said, Akatsuki's Nagato, you will rest here first. After they meet the elders, they will come back to join you, and then I will arrange a new residence for you. However, during this time, I hope you don't leave here casually." In response to Dodai's seemingly kind reminder, Chinyu laughed dryly and said, "Senior Dodai, don't worry, we've been on the road all this time, we're all tired, if you have anything to do first, and I believe there is nothing in Kumogakure that you cannot solve." Quote. Dodai frowned and glanced at Chinyu, feeling a strange feeling in his heart, but the situation was critical, so he couldn't think about it. He nodded and left quickly. "Nagato, please take care of them." Samui quickly followed with Niyugito after showing grateful eyes. For a time, in the huge refugee area, there were only two big-tailed beasts who had entered a dozing state, and a group of worried little kids. "Okay, you've recovered well, and we're off." Chinyu patted the dust on his body. Darui was stunned at first, and said anxiously, "Teacher, didn't you promise not to walk around casually? Besides, Miss Samui is not here, I have to stay here to protect them." For a refugee like Darui, he would have bowed his head in the village of Kumogakure. So in the face of this kind of order, it will definitely not resist. "Do you want to become stronger, or do you want to watch Samui die soon?" Chinyu slapped Darui on the back of the head with his backhand, and said, "Also, who is stronger between you and my little brat? Now, don't you have the slightest bit of shit in your heart? I just kept saying that I want to become Hokage and become stronger, but now I'm cowardly." Looking at Chinyu who was scolding, Darui came to an end. At the critical moment, Kimimaro, who broke in, displayed a powerful strength far beyond his understanding. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would never have believed that a kid younger than him would possess such terrifying strength. And the person in front of him, who can control this kind of terrifying person, is the strength even more unfathomable. However, in Darui's mind, Samui's safety is the most concerned. "Teacher, you said that Mrs. Samui will face a life and death crisis, but this is Kumogakure village." Darui couldn't help but asked. However, Chinyu was soon summoned by Byakugan, and he said in a bad mood, "I repeat, didn't you see that Dodai even took Niyugito's Jinchuiki column force away in advance, which means that Urwei will go berserk at any time. Once the tailed beast runs wild, without breakage, who can hold it? Can your eldest sister's body be able to do it? Don't ask me if I can suppress the tailed beast, I will definitely be able to." Tail beast riot. Darui's expression changed slightly. He stayed in the Kumogakure village for several years, and saw the riot of the tailed beast with his own eyes, and clearly understood how powerful it was. However, he did not expect that Chinyu would directly return his doubts to his stomach. Originally wanted to keep asking, but remembering Chinyu's warning, he bit Kiba and said, "Teacher, I want to become stronger, I want to become stronger faster, and I want to be strong enough to protect them all." Quote. "It's a good momentum, but I hope you will be able to say such things to the tailed beast and me in the future." Chinyu patted Darui's shoulder with a dry smile and said, "Take me with you. Go to the Hall of Black Thunder Inheritance." Black Thunder Inheritance Hall. Darui's expression changed drastically in an instant. He is no stranger to this name. Do not. It should be said that any ninja practicing Raiden, Thunder style, ninjutsu in Kumogakure village knows exactly what this place is. Kumogakure village is best at swordsmanship and Raiden, Thunder style, which are the characteristics of most ninjas. But really looking into it, Raiden, Thunder style, ninjutsu in Kumogakure village has to compete. The only one who can be king is only the 3 generations of Raikage, the Black Madara Thunder that he owns alone. And to wait for this special Raiden, Thunder style power, the only way is to pass the Black Thunder Inheritance Hall. Chapter 244 The Place of Inheritance of the Black Tower. The Hall of Black Thunder Heritage, within the village of Kumogakure, enjoys a special status. always been regarded as one of the important symbols of Raikage's successor due to its powerful destructive power that is said to be superior to the ordinary Raiden Thunder style. However, since the fall of the second generation Raikage, this Black Thunder has been lacking a successor. The strict selection of qualifications undoubtedly discouraged many younger generations. However, there is still no shortage of people who go to try and take their luck every day. The huge black iron tower was 30 meters high, and it was covered with mysterious spells. From time to time, thunder and lightning fell from the sky, smashing at the tip of the tower, making a deafening roar. Two Anbu Kumogakure, stationed at the entrance of the gate, looked around from time to time, seemingly attentive. However, in their eyes, not to mention the inheritance of the Black Tower, it is located in the village of Kumogakure. Just because of the rigor of the Black Thunder inheritance, no outsider would bother to come here to try their luck. As for the Kumogakure village, the place where the Black Thunder was inherited, it was originally released to all Kumogakure, so no one would be able to commit it and go to the Black Tower. Elder Mujao, why are you here? The two Anbu ninjas who were originally languid looked stunned, and when they saw the old man appearing in front of the gate, they showed suspicious expressions. In their eyes, Mujao, as the elder of the Kagaya clan, is getting old and has rarely entered the sight of outsiders. Anbu ninja who was specially instructed to monitor it would recognize the origin of this old man at a glance. Hehe, this Black Thunder Inheritance Tower has always been released to the outside world. You won't stop and welcome this old man's arrival. Mujao laughed dryly, and said, it's the fourth generation Raikage who issued an order that was hostile to our family. Two Kumogakure Anbu suddenly changed. Regarding the existence of the Kagaya clan, the fierceness of their behavior, and the rebellion of the former Golden Horn and Silver Horn, there are indeed objections among Kumogakure. However, as a big family in Kumogakure village, unless you have the determination to completely tear your face, you will damage the strength of the entire ninja village. Otherwise, it will be difficult to imitate the original Konoha ninja village, and only one Uchiha Itachi will destroy the clan and reduce the damage of the entire ninja village to the Uchiha clan. Since the riots of the Golden Horn and Silver Corner troops, the Kagaya family seems to be restrained and low-key. But on the side, it is to precipitate a more powerful strength. Even though it has been weakened on the battlefield, the old man in front of him is still one of the best in the Kumogakure village. What's the matter, are you still not giving way? Mujao's old face with a dry bark turned cold and shouted sharply. Kumogakure Anbu, who was still standing there, hurriedly reacted and said in a hurry, Elder Mujao, you are serious, we are just worried that the elder is not healthy. If something happens, I am afraid that it will make the fourth generation Raikage feel sad. However, Elder Mujao's idea has been decided, and we can't stop it. He spoke, the two Anbu ninjas quickly stepped aside. However, as soon as they moved away, the wooden horn moved instantly. Withered bark-like hands suddenly protruded from the sleeves, and the dazzling blade cut straight to the necks of the two Anbu ninjas. Two Anbu ninjas didn't expect the wooden horns to shoot violently, and they reacted. HMPH, the so-called Anbu is nothing more than that. Mujao snorted coldly, and there were 7 or 8 cracking sounds behind him, and finally landed behind him. Elder, Heilei has the power to seal and suppress the tailed beast, but no one in the past has been able to inherit it. Are we really sure? A burly man asked in a deep voice. As members of the Kumogakure village, of course, they also tried the experiment of accepting the Black Thunder heritage. It can be said that as long as they are members of their family, they are required to participate. After all, once the Heilei inheritance is successfully obtained, this will be the closest and most convenient way to get Raikage's location. It's just that after trying it out for themselves and entering the Thunder Pond, they only understood what the pain of 1,000 trials and tribulations is. HMPH, don't worry, this old man spent most of his life researching the Thunder Pattern Seal. Coupled with your special physique, there is a 40% chance that you will be able to plant black thunder seeds in your body. Mu Zhao said coldly, could it be that, as the elites cultivated in our clan, are you afraid of devoting yourself to the great events of the clan? Or are you suspicious of the old man's methods? Elder Mu Zhao, don't misunderstand. We just want to understand clearly. After all, Jinmu and Silverwood have already started planning. If any link goes wrong, it may become a nightmare for our family. The burly middle-aged man hurriedly explained. Hey Wu, don't worry, this tempering is only carried out on the edge. As long as you don't go deep, the thunder marks can protect you from retreating. Mu Zhao's attitude has also slowed down. He also knows the world there is no one who is not afraid of death, especially in the face of almost 9 deaths. After receiving this answer, the originally dignified clansman breathed a sigh of relief. As a member of Kumogakure village, they also know the danger of Thunder Pond. As long as they don't suddenly enter the center, they will be seriously injured at the edge and will not die. If the thunder mark in Mu Zhao's mouth would really work, maybe it wouldn't be a problem to retreat. Seeing that these people were relieved, Mu Zhao said again, since everyone thinks the matter is feasible, let's go ahead and talk about it. Elder Mu Zhao, let me open this door. He Wu Shen answered, and in front of everyone's eyes, he came out of the crowd and walked to the heavy black iron gate. The moment he pressed his hands on the iron door, the crackling black thunder splashed out and quickly spread to He Wu's body. Humph! He Wu snorted coldly, the muscles on the surface of his body squirmed, facing the black thunder like a silk arc. He didn't care about it at all, and he pushed the heavy door open suddenly. The roar of thunder rolled in, and black thunder light splattered wildly. What's more, like a snake coming out of a hole, it slashed towards them in a lightning-quick manner. That dense posture, like a violent storm, gave people an inexplicable feeling of suffocation. The violent scene changed their expressions drastically, and He Wu couldn't help but scream. Damn, what the hell is going on here? How could the black thunder in the Black Tower go berserk? This is not the first time they have come into contact with the Black Tower. The Black Tower has always been the place of inheritance of the Black Thunder. But most of the Black Thunders are gathered in the Thunder Pool, and the Black Thunders on the edge will be very weak. Not to mention this kind of leakage, the thunder attack that went straight to the entrance. Chapter 245_Devourer of Tailed Beast Meat. Do it, don't worry about it so much, I'll give you a thunder spell. Mu Zhao's expression also changed drastically. He Wu roared first, and his body that was like an iron tower quickly swelled up, his muscles like a rock. In the face of the black thunder coming from the frontal impact, without any fancy, he punched out. Boom! Black thunder light splashed, forming a rolling thunder echo. However, Rao is so, the huge impact, or let He Wu kick back 2 or 3 steps. After he regained his senses, his entire arm and body felt a little numb. Looking at the oncoming He Lei, I was fortunate that the 7 clansmen standing behind them also shot, forming a huge wall of flesh in front. Bang bang bang. Along with a series of thunder, the 7 clansmen were also shaken back. Compared with He Wu, they were even more unbearable. They retreated 5 or 6 steps. What's more, there was a bloodstain of the orangutan Yuhi on the corner of his mouth. Let out a groan. Witnessing this scene, the wooden horn, who had been guarded behind him, couldn't help but sank. Taking advantage of this chance to breathe, he hurriedly looked into the Black Tower. When I saw the trial ground with a width of several hundred meters, the thunder pond in the center, my pupils shrank suddenly, and the eye sockets were almost split. He Wu, who was standing at the front, exclaimed with a terrified expression on his face. Yes, someone came out of the thunder pool center. The exclamation was like a chain reaction, and the 7 people who had been shaken back were completely unable to hold back and looked at Likey. The scene of entering the goal is simply shaking the soul, making people feel a sense of air conditioning. Just now, the Black Tower seal door was pushed open, and the thunder light that splashed out caused them to suffer a lot. Some guys with slightly inferior strength suffered some internal injuries directly. This is enough to make people peep. The terror tempered by this thunder pool makes people feel discouraged. However, now someone told them that there was someone in the thunder pond that made them terrified and walked out slowly like a bath. The huge gap, if you don't see it with your own eyes, no one wants to believe it. Elder Mujao, what is going on? When did someone in the Black Tower succeed in tempering? Is this the secret weapon hidden by the fourth generation of Reikage? Heiwu couldn't help but take a half step back. Now he can't wait. He widened his eyes and saw the face in the lightning flashing clearly. Not long ago, the newly appointed fourth generation Reikage dared to take the killer bee Jinchuriki column force away from the village. Completely forget about the potential threat of their family. This made Heiwu even more certain that the figure in front of him, like a god and a demon, bathed in black thunder, was definitely the fourth generation Reikage, secretly staying behind to deal with them. Mu Zhao's complexion also changed. The Black Thunder riot just now had already caused them a lot of pain. Now suddenly appearing in the Black Tower, the figure that treats Lei Kai as a child's play is completely beyond his expectations. If he hadn't killed the two Anbu ninjas with his own hands, the current Mu Zhao would really have the urge to get away with it. However, now that the person has been killed, the arrow has to be shot on the string, and the only way is to kill the mysterious person in front of him with lightning speed. Otherwise, once the matter is exposed, the ambitions of their family will be completely destroyed. This time, I am afraid it will be exterminated. Heiwu, even if he is the strongest, he is only one person. Now that we have killed him, there is no way out. We will use the trump card to kill him directly in the Black Tower. Mu Zhao's withered bark-like old face shook, anxious shouted. Obviously holding the mentality of doing one and not doing two endlessly. Heiwu's expression was stagnant, and the hint of retreat that had just emerged in his heart was suppressed at this moment. As Mu Zhao said, there is no way out now. Moreover, in their family, there is still the most powerful killer. It is located in a remote place, and at the same time, most of the people rushed to the seal place of Erwei. It is not impossible to kill the people in front of them with the minimum limit. Thinking of this, the leader Heiwu's face flashed a hint of determination. The next moment his hands clasped together, his expression twisted, and an angry roar rose. Do it, use the power of the tail beast. Roar. The voice fell, and the 8 roars like tailed beasts instantly detonated Tianyu. Eyes were round, Kiba was prominent, and Yuhi's tailed beast chakra quickly emerged from their body surface, exuding an inexplicable smell of depression. The originally rough skin is constantly undergoing alternating states of burn and recovery. This is obviously the consequence of forced use and inability to control freely. However, compared with the normal tailed beast clothes, there is no tail on them that represents the strength of the tailed beast. Tailed animal clothing. You are not going to follow the example of Golden Horn and Silver Horn and go eat the tailed beast meat. Qin Yu, who was bathed in black thunder in the thunder pond, looked at the group of uninvited guests with interest. At the beginning, under the leadership of Darui, Qin Yu displayed Mangekyo Sharingan, easily hypnotized the 2 Anbu Kumogakure, and then took Darui into the Black Tower. Unfortunately, in the 4 forbidden techniques left by the 3 generations of Reikage, the Black Madara Lei obviously has the lack of the seal. Convert the Raiden Thunder style chakra in the body into a Black Thunder. The premise is that the Black Thunder in the Thunder Pool needs to be sealed in the body. Qin Yu has tried many methods. Only by using the Raiden Thunder style chakra mode and entering the center of the Thunder Pond for tempering, can he gradually improve his body through the Black Thunder and make a subtle transformation. However, this process will take at least a week, and for Qin Yu, it is already too much to wait. But it is even more impossible for Darui, who even has Raiden Thunder style chakra mode, has no master, and his body cannot adapt to Raiden Thunder style activation. Just when Chinyu was distressed, he didn't expect that someone would send goose feathers thousands of miles away, and the gift was light and affectionate. Chinyu vaguely remembered that when Darui displayed the black Madara in the original book, he was given Lei's tattoo by Hokage. This is probably the key. Boy, who are you? You actually know the secrets of our family. Mu Zhao's face changed dramatically. In the original book, Golden Horn and Silver Horn were swallowed alive when they hunted Kyubi, Nine Tails. Later, by chance, because of the inheritance of the blood of the Six Paths Immortal, the power of the tailed beast was stripped out from the Six Paths sage body, so it was a coincidence of all kinds. Golden Horn and the Silver Horn has the adaptability of the tailed beast chakra. This led to Golden Horn and Silver Horn having the means to transform into a tail beast after the catastrophe. Mutinous ambition to attack the second-generation Hokage under the Five Shadows talks. It can be said that they were able to get to this point, in addition to the props left by the Six Paths Immortal, the chance to accidentally swallow the power of the tail beast and stimulate the physique is the key. Chapter 246_Conan is possessed. Hee, how do I know? It's not important, but I'm very interested in the thunder spell seal you said, can you give it to me? Chinyu smiled genially. If you give it to me, I can't see what you've done. This time, it seemed to be full of temptation, but when it fell into Mu Zhao's eyes, a smile flashed in his pupils, his withered bark-like cheeks trembled slightly, and said, boy, it seems that Zhang is still old. Spicy. Quote. If you don't dare to be interested in my thunder curse seal, I'll be worried that I won't be able to kill you silently, but since you show this meaning, it proves that your strength is not enough to fear and control the Black Thunder. I will teach you the last lesson, don't expose your weaknesses because of your greed. There was a hint of joy in the slightly elusive old voice. Heiwu said grimly, Elder Mu Zhao, don't talk nonsense with him, you immediately open the barrier, stop the movement here, and then we join forces to kill him directly, since even Lei is not in control. Let's be frightened in vain, and it will definitely cost death. Yes, the 7 clansmen standing behind Heiwu also agreed with fierce faces. The rolling voices gathered together, exuding a different kind of depressing taste. However, in the face of all this, the next moment they caught sight of the scene, their hearts jumped. He laughed. Bathed in black thunder, the man they regarded as fish on the chopping block was laughing. Kiba teeth that were as white as snow were extremely unsightly under the flash of black thunder. What makes their nerves tense the most is why the people in front of them are laughing in such a situation of certain death. It seems that kindness will also be misunderstood. Chinyu shook his head with a smile and said, originally, I didn't want to cause trouble, I just wanted to act in secret. I didn't expect that I was also possessed by Conan, and trouble would catch up wherever I went. Where? Since you don't want to hand it over, I'll grab it myself. The inexplicable voice of the words seemed unusually disturbing under the rolling thunder. The moment Chinyu raised his head suddenly, the blood of the orangutan Yuhi, like a frenzy, quickly spread in his pupils. Nine Tomo turned, directly shaking the soul. Yes, it's Nine Tomo Mangekyo Sharingan. Mu Zhao exclaimed. As a family, acting as a think tank-like elder, he controls the intelligence network throughout the entire ninja world. Although it can't be compared with the 5 great ninja villages, it seems that the recent limelight and fierceness are prominent, and the information about the blood-colored Asura Uchiha Chinyu of Konoha missing Nin is clear. Lord, Elder, this is the rumored 9 Tomo Mangekyo Sharingan. How did Konoha missing Nin sneak into the Kumogakure village? Heiwu's expression changed drastically, facing the rumored murderer. Before he had time to think about it, he growled anxiously. Run away. The billowing sound receded like a tidal wave, and the round eyes were always locked in the thin figure bathed in the black thunder. However, as soon as his footsteps started, the next moment crackling, the raging black thunder light suddenly appeared in front of him. The ghostly Raiden thunder style instant body technique makes people's pupils shrink suddenly. The right hand wrapped with black thunder turned into a spear, and it quickly enlarged in his eyes in a manner that was too fast to cover his ears. Too fast. The thought of terror flashed in his mind, and Hei Wulai had no chance to raise his hand to block. The huge human head shrouded in the tail beast coat was thrown into the air under the hot blood. The violent scene shook the nerves of the remaining 7 people. At the same time that their eye sockets were almost split, they hurriedly pulled away and fled. In their eyes, Heiwu is dead, but with the wooden horns, there are still 8 people in total. As long as everyone chooses a common direction to escape, even if the murderer in front of him is the fastest, at least one person will be able to escape. That's a 1 in 8 chance of survival. However, just as this idea came into their minds, Chinyu's hands were slightly bluffed, and the black Madara thunder accumulated in his body exploded like a frenzy. Black bird stream thunder pond hell. Boom. The violent black thunder, as if it came from 9 days, raged with black thunder, instantly occupying a space of dozens of meters in a radius. The 8 people who originally wanted to withdraw and retreat, let out a miserable cry at the same time, and the extremely agile body, even under the activation of the tail beast clothes, was obviously occupied by a sudden sense of paralysis. They could react. Chinyu, who used the black thunder to display the Raiden thunder style chakra mode, like a wolf entering a flock, he raised his sword and fell. PFF'd. Blood splattered, and the 8 heads seemed to be thrown straight up at the same time. When Yuan stared at him and slammed it down heavily, the slight burst of anger caused Chinyu to raise his brows. The elder Mujao, who was also killed by Chinyu in an instant, was in the position of the corpse, like a substitute technique, and a large white smoke appeared, waiting for everything to recover. There was only one arm covered with mysterious spell marks, like a dead tree, and blood was still flowing out from the cut-off position. An ancient scroll lay quietly beside it. This old man deserves to be able to survive the betrayal. Jin-chan is decisive to escape from his shell, and even throws down the scroll. This is probably a kind of substitute forbidden technique. Chinyu looked at hundreds of meters away with interest, and the fast escape go figure. Just as he was about to set off to pursue, a fierce roar came from the north. Roar. The rolling sound was mixed with a gust of wind. Even if he didn't know how far apart they were, Chinyu felt a fierce and tyrannical smell. As long as you are not a fool, you all know clearly that this is a tailed beast riot. Forget it, let Darui take control of the Black Thunder first, so as not to call me a liar. Chinyu scattered the Raiden Thunder style chakra pattern on his body and picked up the old scroll on the ground. As the scroll was spread out, there was a Black Thunder character in the center of the mysterious spell above. At the same time, the ethereal voice of the system echoed in Chinyu's mind. Ding dang, if it is detected that the host learns the Thunder spell seal, is it immediately full level with 1 click? Hearing this familiar voice, Chinyu couldn't help but have a playful smile on his lips. If Mu Jiao knew that he had spent most of his life trying to study the Thunder Curse seal, Chinyu would have easily missed it. He will definitely regret it. Keep this scroll, attract Chinyu's attention, and give up the pursuit of him. In the original intention of the old man Mu Jiao, he made this decision because of the mentality that Chinyu would never be able to penetrate the Thunder spell seal in a short period of time even if he was powerful. Immediately 1 click full level. Chinyu didn't hesitate, he was able to bathe in the Thunder pool. It was the system that fully leveled the Raiden Thunder style chakra mode with 1 click, which is more powerful than Raikage's Raiden Thunder style chakra mode in previous dynasties. Deep understanding can do it. As for the current Darui, if it wasn't for his tenacity, and the physique that was originally compatible with Heilei in the original work, I am afraid that in the marginal area, he would not only be forced into a coma 7 or 8 times, and he was rescued by Chinyu 7 times. 8 times. Chapter 247 _Two-Tailed Cat. Roar. The deafening roar exploded like thunder. In the open valley basin with tens of thousands of meters, rolling sand and dust waves rolled up, and more broken boulders were rolled away with the wind. Hundreds of embarrassed figures escaped in the wind and sand, and only after pulling a distance of several thousand meters did they barely stand still. Mr. Dodai, what are we going to do now? Why did the seal of the two-tailed cat loosen again? Samui's face turned pale. They came in a hurry after learning from Anbu's Kumogakure that Urwei's chakra was leaked in the seal. At the same time, in order to avoid any unforeseen events, even Niyugido, who is a human Jinchuriki column force, also brought. However, when they approached the seal land and tried to reinforce the seal again, most of the seal collapsed again. When I left, the seal was obviously reinforced, enough to last until the return of the fourth-generation Reikage to carry out the Jinchuriki column force seal. Dodai's expression turned ashen. After 4 generations of Reikage and Killer Bee Jinchuriki column forces left, Dodai became one of the highest fighting forces in the Kumogakure village. Is also the teacher of Reikage and Killer Bee Jinchuriki column force, so he can't avoid the pot before him, and he must take charge of the overall situation. Looking at the center of the dusty canyon basin, Dodai's expression suddenly changed, and he started drinking. Hurry up and retreat. Doden, Earth Style, wall. The moment Dodai pulled away and retreated, his hands flew quickly, forming a series of spell marks. At the same time as the ground roared, a wall of earth more than 10 meters high quickly swelled in front of him. The violent scene made Kumogakure, who was present, startled for a while, and he hadn't figured out what was in front of him. Then I saw a blue-black claw covered with mysterious spell marks, protruding directly from the endless sand and dust. Even more so, with a thunderous gesture, it was retaken on the earth wall. Boom! The dull collision sound rolled and dispersed like thunder, and the earth wall instantly collapsed like a broken bamboo. The huge impact force made Anbu Kumogakure, who had no time to withdraw and retreat, be instantly overturned and smashed on the rock. What's more, he fell into a coma. Samui exists as the elite Jonin in Kumogakure. When Dodai reminded him, he didn't know what happened, but Niyugido with a curious face had already withdrawn and retreated. When he landed on a rock hundreds of meters away, he could clearly see the huge body in the dust and his face turned pale. With a huge body of dozens of meters, the cat demon with special blue-black flames circulating all over its body, full of fierce eyes, looked around the field, and finally locked on Niyugido's body. Roar! The two-tailed cat roared up to the sky again, and the huge body, with an agile posture, instantly shot at Niyugido. The speed is so fast, the distance of more than 1,000 meters is just the blink of an eye. The chakra claws covered with blue flames, with a fierce and unparalleled attitude, tore the air and slapped it head-on. The violent scene made Anbu Ninja's face change drastically, and Samui's hand clenching the chakra dagger trembled slightly. The tailed beast in front of him not only exudes a fierce aura that makes people feel suffocated. The attack that he unleashed just by his gestures gave people a taste of death. However, when he thought about leaving, Chinyu entrusted Niyugido to her, regardless of her identity or not. And those little brats in the refugee camps waiting for her to return safely, Samui knew that she would never retreat. Raiden, Thunder Style, False Darkness. Samui quickly flipped his hands, and the moment the series of spells fell, the chakra in his body instantly exploded. Under the crackling thunder, with a fast thunder-like attitude, the cat's claws hit the sky. Boom! The huge thunderlight instantly hit the cat's paw that was photographed in the air. However, at the moment when the fierce offensive collided with the cat's paw, the offensive only stopped for a moment. The next moment, the cat's claws covered with blue-black mysterious spell marks, Yue Wei slapped down with unabated force. Samui was stunned. Do not. It should be said that in the eyes of other people, it is also full of disbelief. This is the Raiden Thunder style attack of the elite Jonin, which is an ordinary confrontation. One move is enough to instantly kill 2 or 3 Jonins of the same level. However, now it seems so pale and powerless, how to fight the tailed beast running wild in front of him. Raiden Thunder style, 4 Jinchuriki column binding techniques. Dodai's roar spread instantly. With Samui and Niyugido as the center, there are 4 Anbu ninjas headed by Dodai. The almost synchronous hand seal gesture, as well as the speed, make people dazzling at the same time. His hands clasped together suddenly, taking the last spell. Under the roar of the ground, a huge stone Jinchuriki column broke out of the ground one step ahead and hit tailed Maoyu's front chest directly. The huge impact force caused the cat's attack to be directly broken. At the same time, the remaining 3 stones, Jinchuriki column, surrounded the 2-tailed cats in a 4-sided manner, forming a simple prison. Roar. Seeing that the attack was blocked and the sneak attack was successful, the 2-tailed cat became obviously more irritable. A big mouth, chakras tumbling claws slapped directly at the Jinchuriki column while roaring up to the sky. If this blow really hits, I am afraid it will be the same as when the earth wall was broken at the beginning. With this little trick alone, it is definitely not a tailed beast to be able to subdue the tailed beast. Change the spell. Dodai roared again and again. When the surgical seal in the hand changed again, the 4-stone Jinchuriki column instantly burst into a crackling thunder. The violent power of thunder turned into a layer of electrical grid, directly covering the 2-tailed cat. The cat's claws, which were originally shot out, were also blocked in an instant. The tailed cat who was in it, let out a shrill cry under the impact of this tyrannical thunderlight. Seeing that the blow was successful, Samui not only did not smile at all, but he couldn't help but look at Dodai, bit Kiba and said, "Master Dodai, you asked me to bring Niyugido. I had expected the tailed beast to run wild, and planned to use it as a bait. Let the second tail attack her, thus enforcing the seal." For this remark, Niyugido's expression couldn't help but stagnate. That moment, if Samui hadn't reacted in time, he used the Raiden Thunder style ninjutsu to stab Erwei's attack from the front and bought a little time. I am afraid that the sealing barrier has not been set up, and they will be smashed by Erwei. The face of this blatant questioning, the surrounding Kumogakure looked as usual, obviously already aware of it. Only Dodai looked a little dark and said, "Samui, you need to know that everything I do now is for the sake of the village, and you don't want to." The person who took and became a wandering ninja again. The 4th generation of Reikage is not there. The only thing we can do is to suppress the tail beast as soon as possible. Quote. Having said that, Dodai looked at Erwei who was madly hitting the barrier. A flash of determination flashed on his face, and he shouted sharply, "Do it all for me, use that move to completely suppress the tailed beast." Chapter 248 _ Thunder from the Sky. That trick. Samui's expression changed slightly. As a disciple of the previous Jinchuriki column force, Samui is very clear that it is the 3rd generation of Reikage. In order to prevent the tailed beast from running wild when the strongest fighting force in the village is not there, the killer left on purpose. However, this move is promising and can suppress the tailed beast. However, in the face of the rampage of the tailed beast, the number of people who need to perform surgery is definitely not a small number. Samui, don't hesitate. As long as you suppress the tailed beast runaway this time, you are also the hero who rescued the village. It will be easier for people to accept those refugees. Dodai's expression gradually became ugly. Taking a look, the tailed beast madly rammed into the ceiling barrier. For the 4 casters, the transmission of this power alone was enough to make their blood churn and chakra was quickly consumed. Once you can't seal the tailed beast, if you wait for them for a long time, the chakra will be exhausted, and then you will definitely die. A hero. Samui was slightly startled, thinking of the shattered refugee camp. If the tailed beast could be suppressed before night fell. With the credit this time, Karui and others were able to live in a new house without starvation and cold. The future, he will be accepted by Kumogakure village and become one of them. For all this, Samui's face flashed a hint of determination, and he drank sternly, "Do it." Voice fell, the sealing team led by Samui shot out one after another in an instant, landing on the 16 positions. Without any hesitation, at the moment Samui flipped his hands and formed the first magic seal, the 16 people directly cast it simultaneously. Raiden Thunder Style, 16 Jinchuriki, Column Binding Technique. Boom. The earth is roaring, the entire canyon is shaking like an earthquake, and the 10-6 paths, the Jinchuriki column, are rushing out in all directions. The next moment, a huge cage was formed. When the last magic seal in Samui's hand fell, lightning surged out, and in addition to the 4 Jinchuriki column restraints, a 16 Jinchuriki column seal was formed. "Go on," Samui-one's hand shouted again anxiously. 64 Kumogakure were already preparing, and as soon as they got the order, they fell in all directions like sharp arrows. Hand seal with both hands, the ground rumbled, the rocks burst down, and the entire canyon basin was instantly surrounded by stone Jinchuriki column. Accompanied by the echoes of thunder, the thunder light splashed and bound with the stone Jinchuriki column in front, forming an even greater 64 Jinchuriki column binding technique. The canyon basin, which originally covered an area of tens of thousands of meters, was instantly submerged by endless thunder, and even Urwei's figure was obscured. If it wasn't for tailed Maoyu's fierce roar, which is extremely penetrating, I'm afraid there is no way to tell with the naked eye that the dignified tailed beast is trapped inside. Okay, Dodai said okay. Originally, this enchantment was developed, but it has never been used in actual combat. After all, in the past, the tailed beast ran wild, and there were 3 generations of Reikage who were hard and dry. Even the 8-tailed bull ghost was cut off by the 3 generations of Reikage. This kind of clumsy enchantment is even more useless. However, the success of the display now, in addition to making people feel happy, the rapid consumption of chakra in the body should not be underestimated. Hurry up and start the suppression, we can only support this formation for 10 minutes. Dodai looked at Samui and shouted hurriedly. Teacher Dodai, I understand. Samui nodded heavily, she wanted to play the role of the hero this time. Just to better protect Karui and the others standing behind her. Thinking of this, Samui let out a deep breath, a hint of determination flashed in the depths of his eyes, and the slender hand's surgical seal flew up again. Do it, suppress the tailed beast. The awe-inspiring voice suddenly came out, but Samui found that everyone's expressions changed slightly, even Dodai's expression changed. Golden wood, silverwood, what are you doing? Samui, watch your back. Dodai roared in a hurry, and Samui's nerves suddenly tensed at the words. The moment I hurriedly looked behind me, I saw the chakra broadsword, which was swirling with cold light, and quickly enlarged in my pupils. You can die, big hero. Jinmu laughed playfully. In fact, they managed to open the seal of tailed Maoyu. It is precisely to make Dodai and other Kumogakure village elites, in order to suppress the 2-tailed cat, to display this complicated formation. When they are distracted and unable to withdraw to fight, they attack again. That's half of their goal. As long as the last elders who are obstructing people are also eliminated, and the second tail is sealed with the help of Black Thunder, it will wait until the 4th generation of Reikage returns. The huge Kumogakure village has changed its name and surname, and it has become the possession of their family. Black Thunder Black Madara Pour. Boom. The Black Thunder light, which descended from the sky, was extremely dazzling, and even struck down at the golden wood with lightning speed. The violent blow was completely beyond his expectations. In their plan, this Black Thunder should have belonged to their family. Even if someone could really use it, it would be the elder Mujao who developed the Thunder Curse seal. However, now all this has subverted their cognition. The assassination attack just now, the situation has not been exhausted, and now facing this violent black thunder, it is impossible to withdraw in a hurry and retreat. Jinmu, hurry back. Silver Mew took the lead and buckled on Jinmu's shoulder, and at the same time with a sudden force, he quickly pulled away and retreated. When they retreated more than 10 steps, the black thunder that fell from the sky slammed into the place where Jinmu was standing. With a violent and fierce posture, the rock under his feet shattered. The remaining black arc of thunder made people's expressions change dramatically, and their pupils could not help shrinking when they could see clearly the boy who fell behind Samui. "Miss Samui, are you all right?" Darui said worriedly. However, if people take another look, there is an extra black thunder word on his arm, and the black thunder arcs flowing all over his body are even more eye-catching. "Darui, how could you cast the black thunder? You should not have the experience of trials." Samui's expression changed slightly, and he couldn't help but asked. Although Darui can have a black thunder, this is the greatest honor for her, or even for any ninja in Kumogakure village. It's just that Darui's identity is different from other Kumogakure. The origin of refugees alone makes him ineligible to enter the Black Thunder Trial Tower. At present, Darui has obtained the inheritance of Black Thunder, which means that he has violated the prohibition of Kumogakure village. People from other villages, trespassing on the Black Thunder Trial Tower, is a mortal sin. This kind of result is not what Samui wants to see. However, before Darui could speak, an old body descended from the sky, and that panicked gesture tightened everyone's nerves. Chapter 249 Can train tailed beasts as dogs. Elder Mujao, what happened to make you panic? Looking at the elder Mujao who fell from the sky, his cheeks like dry tree bark, and was covered with hot sweat, Jinmu took the lead and asked in a breathless manner. This scene, even Dodai and Samui and other Kumogakure, cannot help but become curious. For this old monster who has lived for 70 or 80 years and is coordinating the Kagaya clan behind the scenes, even if it is shown in the village, it is very deep. In the face of the third and fourth generations of Reikage, there will be no such chaotic expressions. However, this scene completely subverted their cognition. Escape, hurry up, this is a trap. No wonder that guy from Reikage of the fourth generation dared to leave the village with Killer Bee Jinchuriki column force. It turns out that you guys are secretly colluding with Konoha missing Nin, the blood-colored Asura. Mu Jiaoyi, the hand that grabbed the golden horn and silver horn, almost scolded. In his decades of layout, half a day ago, he was still scheming and calculating the calmness of the world. However, after seeing Uchiha Chinyu with his own eyes, he walked out of the Thunder Pond as if nothing had happened. It even killed 8 of his carefully cultivated elites in an instant. This strong attitude, combined with the rumors from the outside world, directly broke the luck in Mu Jiao's heart. Mu Jiao, what nonsense are you talking about, Lord Reikage of the fourth generation? Why would you cooperate with Konoha missing Nin who killed the third generation of Reikage? Your family has betrayed, and are you planning to spray people with blood? Dodai's face changed dramatically, and the village flashed in his mind. At the same time, the only foreigner in the room couldn't help but refute. At this moment, the people he is more willing to face are the mutiny of the Kagaya family, as well as the two-tailed cat. And he want to believe that, in the Kumogakure village, Uchiha Chinyu quietly sneaked in. It's you, Samui said suddenly. Everyone present didn't have time to think, and subconsciously followed Samui's gaze, and looked at the thin figure wearing a yuhi-colored cloud cloak on the tree trunk. Looking at the well-defined cheeks that had long been covered by the transmutation technique, the pupils suddenly shrank at the same time. Dodai took the lead and shouted in a hurry, "Don't look at him, be careful of demonic illusion." As soon as these words came out, Kumogakure's heart seemed to be tightly clenched by an invisible big hand. Among them, a ninja was the first to lose his temper and said in horror, "No, I just glanced at his Mangekyo Sharingan. Me too. If it's true, like the rumors, that you can get people into demonic illusion just by looking at it, then I can't escape it. A series of exclamations gathered together like a vast ocean, hundreds of kumogakure, this subconscious action. Konoha missing nin, blood-colored Asura who wanted a reward in the whole ninja world, I couldn't help but take a look. However, this look made them completely confused as if they were being urged by the god of death. Hee, don't be nervous, I was only planning to visit Kumogakure village, but I didn't expect to encounter such an interesting rebellion. Chinyu smiled and patted Kimamaro's shoulder and said, you stay here and wait for me. I'll go down and have a look. As soon as these words fell, the crackling thunder light burst out in an instant. In the Raiden Thunder style chakra mode, the teleportation technique displayed was as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, he came to Samui. The violent scene was as if it penetrated the soul. Even the pupils of Dodai in the distance shrank suddenly and exclaimed, Black Thunder, this is the Black Thunder chakra mode that only the second generation Raikage has. Don't be surprised, I'm here just to say goodbye. Chinyu glanced at Dodai, and when his cheeks twitched, he stopped talking, but closed his mouth, unable to speak. Dodai had no confidence in facing Chinyu whose purpose was unclear. Not long ago, at the southern stronghold of Konoha Ninja Village, hundreds of elites from Kumogakure village were killed by one move, but the whole village was sensational. Kumogakure elites gathered in this canyon at the moment, but he is worried that he will be able to hold a move in Chinyu's hands. You're injured. Chinyu looked at Samui in the hand seal, the blood stains on his face rubbed by the gravel were extremely unsightly. Niyugito had been hard selling and broke into her heart at the same time, but completely changed his appearance. Samui's expression was stagnant, and at the same time, the warm big hand was slowly approaching her. Don't be nervous, I'm just treating you. Seeing Samui's nervousness, Chinyu couldn't help but comfort him. This is the lightning curse seal I snatched from the old man, and it's a gift for you now. Take the interest of Black Thunder. Quote. Also, he is considered a gift. Although he has only just learned the chakra mode, with the help of Heilei and training, his future strength should be able to reach cage level. Teacher, what you said is really ugly. I want to leave with you. Darui suddenly became anxious. However, compared to him, Niyugito, who was standing beside him, came to Chinyu's side one step ahead, grabbed his arm, and said with a face full of reluctance, Uncle Greasy, are you leaving? Why don't you take me with you too? The small voice just tensed the nerves of everyone in the field. Not to mention Darui, who inherited Heilei, he wanted to propose to leave with Chinyu. Even the Jinchuriki column force vessel, a person who was cultivated through hard work in Kumogakure village, was poached, and he took the initiative to follow the rumors outside and the famous Konoha missing nin left. This result completely subverted their cognition. Okay, you girl just stay in Kumogakure village. They won't treat you badly, and they won't dare to treat you badly. Otherwise, I'll let Shaosun and Xiaozi come here once. Chinyu rubbed with a smile. Behind Niyugito's head. The two black dogs hidden in the cloak came straight out and landed on Niyugito's shoulders. They looked around fiercely and said, Little girl, even though you eat a lot, you don't have the slightest respect for this uncle. But since you have been with the boss for a while, if you have anything in the future, I will find a place for you. Quote. The big deal, I even brought the smelly monkey, its Yoden lava style, is very good, it's not difficult to sneak in here. Also, your dead cat is obviously a woman and has such a grumpy temper. If you bark around here, the boss doesn't hit women, but be careful that the stinky monkey won't let you go. Hey, dead tortoise, if you pretend to be forceful, can't you do it yourself? Why do you have to drag me into the water? Looking at the two ninja dogs, pretending to be unscrupulous here, everyone present couldn't laugh. Aside from the gurgling sound of swallowing saliva, only Niyugito can keep giggling. In their minds, only one thought remained. To be able to train a tailed beast as a dog is simply a god. Chapter 250 Team up and fly away. Roar. The roar of fierce tears resounded like thunder, as if responding to Sanwei's provocative words. Faced with this scene, Santai, who had turned into a ninja dog, sank and roared up to the sky. Roar. With a sound, the dormant chakra in Sanwei's body instantly detonated, rising into the sky like a volcano erupting. The powerful air waves swept away in a rolling posture, and it even stirred up sand and dust. The violent scene, like an invisible big hand, instantly clenched everyone's heart. Just relying on one two-tailed cat and another, they have already made them deal with the dread. Now there is one head, 3 tails, and 4 tails. Once the fight really starts, I am afraid that the entire Kumogakure village will be destroyed in one fell swoop. Smelly mother-in-law, don't act wild in front of the boss, or I will tear apart your bones. Santai's voice sounded like thunder, and with a bang, he shook his body to reveal his body. The giant tortoise of dozens of meters, with its hideous appearance and 3 tails representing strength, stirred the circulation of the air in this piece of heaven and earth. The two-tailed cat, who was still rioting at first, was obviously alarmed by the actions of the 3-tailed, and the tyrannical gesture suddenly stopped. Little Sanner is enough, Chinyu interrupted. Don't forget, our purpose this time. Boss, I understand. Sanwei opened his mouth to agree, his huge body, with a bang, returned to the size of Erha, with a pleasing expression on his face. There was no trace of that murderous, fierce flame-like attitude just now. Okay, the scar on your face has completely healed. Chinyu pulled his hand back, looked at Samui's restored cheek, and turned to look at Jinmu and Silvermu. This glance immediately made everyone's faces change dramatically. Samui couldn't hold back his breath. He grabbed Chinyu's wrist and said, "Long. Uchiha Chinyu, what do you want to do?" "What?" Chinyu smiled and flicked his hand on Samui's forehead, and said, "I will make compensation for taking something from someone else's house. Don't they bother you? I'll help you out." The small voice seemed to carry an undeniable taste. Jinmu's face changed, and he roared in a hurry, "You bastard, I didn't bother you with that punch half a day ago, but you are so arrogant, you plan to interfere in the affairs of our Kumogakure village, I have to kill you." Quote. Jinmu, shut up. Silvermu interrupted Jinmu's words, but still didn't look Chinyu's eyes directly, piled up a smile and said, "Uchiha Chinyu, it's the first time we met, but I know your subordinates are gathered together." After a lot of missing nin, the 5 major countries also held the 5 Shadows Conference, intending to join forces to deal with you, and the attitude of the 4 generations of Reikage is even more endless. Quote. It's better, let's work together to take the lead, take this Kumogakure village down, and let the 5 countries know that we are not to be provoked. We can use this as a stepping stone, and at the same time use the strength accumulated by our family for many years to guard the village of Kumogakure, and take this opportunity to grow rapidly. In the future, we will command the ninja world and become the overlord of this world. The slightly elusive voice, the more he said to the end, the excitement between the lines was full of excitement, and the smell of demagogic exuded even more. With 4 generations of Reikage and Killer Bee Jinchuriki column absent, when the top power of Kumogakure village is half gone, it is not a daydream to join forces with the Kagaya clan to seize the power of Kumogakure village. Once it really succeeds, with the missing nin power under Uchiha Chinyu and the chess pieces of the Kagaya clan lurking in Kumogakure village, it is not difficult to achieve this goal. It can be said that if anyone acts as the current Uchiha Chinyu, they will definitely yearn for this grand plan to dominate the ninja world. However, for Dodai and the others, this can definitely be called a nightmare. For a time, the eyes of everyone in the field turned, locked on Uchiha Chinyu's body, and there was a hint of urgency in the depths of their pupils. Samui couldn't hold his breath, and asked anxiously, "Uchiha Chinyu, I hope you can see my sake. Raise your hand once, and let go of the Kumogakure village." For these words, Samui didn't know what he was doing to make Chinyu raise his hand. Friends or something else. But the scene in front of her made Samui too concerned about it. As long as there was a chance, she must try. Even offering yourself. No, I think his proposal is very tempting. Chinyu smiled warmly. Words fell into Samui's ears, making her nerves tense, and while her expression froze, she showed a self-deprecating smile. For this result, she also thought about it, just as she thought at the beginning. Between her and Chinyu, it was just a chance encounter, so what qualifications are there? Let Chinyu look at her and raise your hand. However, this thought just came into her mind, and the words that fell in her ear made her startled again. It's just, are you qualified to discuss cooperation with me? Chinyu's smile gradually disappeared, looking at Silver and said lightly, I seem to remember that you gave me harsh words not long ago, saying that next time when we meet, Jinmu will tear me apart, and now that we have met, I am a little impatient to wait. Quote. The sudden change made the smile that just appeared on Silver's face stiffen. Seeing Chinyu barely wriggling the corners of his mouth, he said, Uchiha Chinyu, everything that happened before was a misunderstanding. As long as we cooperate, we will definitely be able to dominate Ninja World. Really? Chinyu replied indifferently, and as soon as he took a step, the sound of crackling thunder suddenly resounded. The next moment, the whole person appeared directly in front of Jinmu 20 or 30 meters away, as if spanning time and space, and the voice suddenly echoed. I said, do you have the qualifications to hear what exactly? The small voice, with an unquestionable taste, the pitch-black lightning flashed out a fierce gesture. Without any hesitation, the moment the ghostly figure appeared, the 5 fingers of his right hand were suddenly clenched, and he punched Jinmu's abdomen with a heavy punch. Boom! The dull sound of collision resounded like thunder, and the huge impact poured down. As soon as Jinmu reacted, he flew out like a cannonball with the sound of bones shattering. With a tenacious posture, he smashed heavily on the rock wall 50 or 60 meters away. The seemingly indestructible rock wall cracked open like a cobweb, and collapsed immediately the next moment. The dust storm that rolled up, at the same time as it rolled back, a shocking blood arrow splattered directly from Jinmu's mouth. The power of a punch was so terrifying, seeing the pupils of everyone present shrinking, an inexplicable warmth sprouted in Samui's heart. However, as soon as the warmth came out, the joking voice of the pretty life fell into my ears. Sister Fierce, you can also see that the greasy uncle is full of security, or we will form a team to fly away. Chapter 251-Unbeatable Xiaoqiang. Team up to fly away. Samui couldn't help being stunned. Looking at Niyugito, who was eager to try, there was a little bit of excitement in his heart. However, as soon as this feeling of affection was born, it was suppressed by Samui. Not to mention whether Chinyu can fight against the 5 great powers, just because the refugee camp behind her exists, and the young Karui and others will not allow her to be willful. Jinmu. Silver Mew suddenly woke up. Looking at Chinyu, who was close at hand, he didn't have time to think about it. His hands clasped together suddenly, and at the same time he pulled away and retreated. A shrill cat meow came out of his mouth. If Chinyu really wanted to find an adjective, it would feel a bit like a cat calling Chun. A chakra breath that is very similar to the 2-tailed cat quickly swept away. Uchiha Chinyu, you're forcing me. Silver roared fiercely, and the blood-colored chakra quickly overflowed, accompanied by a fierce smell. Silver Mew, you stop him, I'll save Jin Mew, and it's not difficult for you to join forces to kill Uchiha Chinyu. Mew Jiao also quickly retreated. That seemingly old body, on the run away, the speed is simply not too much. A few ups and downs, it landed on Jinmu's side. Looking at the golden wood lying in the rubble, with his chest completely collapsed, his bones completely shattered, and even his internal organs spit out, the miserable appearance is even more terrible than half a day ago. Faced with such a fatal injury, I am afraid Tsunade will have to shake his head when he arrives. However, Mu Zhao didn't care. When the old bark-like face flashed a tinge of pain, he took out a wooden box with his backhand, and then directly opened the spell used as a sealing path on it. A piece of yuhi, a piece of meat that exudes a different chakra flavor, made Chinyu also interested. Is this the meat of a stinky fox? Sanwei raised his brows, looking a little surprised. The bodies of their tailed beasts are transformed by the chakra of the Six Paths Fairy, so any inch of meat has a strong chakra reaction. Most importantly, once you enter the tailed beast form, no matter how much you are injured, you will be able to recover as before. Of course, this ability of pervert also has a great load on the body. However, now facing the Konoha missing nin blood-colored Asura rumored in the ninja world, Mu Zhao obviously has no more choices. As soon as he took out the sealed piece of Kyubi, Nine Tails, he shoved it directly into Jinmu's mouth. The moment when the meat piece entered, perhaps it was because of the chakra, the tailed beast that originally existed in Jinmu's body. Jinmu, who was dying, released a tyrannical tailed beast chakra from his tightly closed mouth. The next moment, while his eyes were widening, his collapsed chest healed quickly at a speed visible to the naked eye. The tailed beast chakra, which was full of fierce taste, exploded like a dam burst. The sharp kiba, the knife-like fingertips, the rapidly peeling skin, the oozing blood, and the tailed beast clothing covering the body's surface converged. A disgusting smell of blood filled the air. Roar. The same roar came from the mouths of Kaneki and Silverwood at the same time. The huge chakra brought by the tailed beast, and the fierce consciousness originally contained, made them even more violent. Without any fancy, the moment his eyes fell on Chinyu, his 4 feet suddenly kicked on the ground. Boom! The ground shattered, and everyone just felt 2 blood-colored rays of light, like a tiger descending the mountain, with a posture like horns, and attacked Chinyu together. The speed is so fast, the distance of tens of meters is just a short distance away. The blood-colored claws, without any bells and whistles, photographed Chinyu head-on. Be careful, Samui exclaimed, but the next moment saw 9 Tomo Mangekyo Sharingan, turning in vain. Tong Li, which exuded the smell of disaster, instantly turned into 2 huge ribs and stopped in front of Chinyu. Boom! The claws lined up heavily on the phantom ribs. The huge impact force even set off a hurricane and rolled back around. The ground under his feet seemed to be unable to withstand the impact, and there was a cracking sound like cracking. However, in the face of this fierce and unparalleled attack, Chinyu, who was in his ribs, seemed to have nothing to do with himself, and smiled genially in front of everyone's eyes. Is this your confidence? No wonder the old man ran away. The small voice, at this moment, is like an invisible big hand tensing everyone's nerves. He hurriedly followed the trail of Mu Zhao, and even half of his figure was gone. Recalling the scene when he just arrived and rescued Jinmu. That means, I'm afraid it's just to buy time for myself to escape. Jinmu and Silvermu, the only remaining will in their minds was a pause, but they were quickly covered by the fierce consciousness of the tailed beast chakra. Seeing that the blow was blocked, another sharp claw slapped Chinyu again. As expected, the consciousness was swallowed up. Compared with the golden horn and the silver horn, it makes people feel disappointed. Chinyu shook his head helplessly, and the speed of the 9 Tomo in his pupils suddenly increased sharply. At the same time that the furious pupil power surged out, the huge Susanoo of dozens of meters condensed in an instant. The seemingly sharp claws slammed on the armor covered on the surface. The clack-like sound of metal collisions caused no cracks at all except for a slight vibration in Yuhi's pupil power. With such a terrifying defense, one could not help but take a deep breath. It's my turn. Chinyu's eyes widened slightly, and he uttered 3 simple words, and the huge Susanoo moved instantly. With a big hand like a plantain, without any bells and whistles, with a tenacious posture, he headed towards Kaneki and Silverwood. Wherever you pass along the way, the wind blows back, setting off endless sandstorms and gravel, giving people a feeling of flying sand and rocks. Roar. Kaneki and Silverwood roared in unison, filled with tyrannical consciousness. The four tails behind him, condensed with chakra, attacked Susanoo's big hand without any hesitation. Boom. The thunder-like collision sound rolled and spread out, and the four tails that seemed to have an advantage in numbers, shattered like a piece of paper under Susanoo's big hand. Swept away towards the golden wood and silver wood without diminishing its prestige. Boom. The two figures were directly smashed into the air like cannonballs, hitting the mountain thousands of meters away. The huge impact force forcibly broke the sharp cones of the two rock mountains. Under the splash of gravel, the broken arms, thighs and other body parts. It recovered quickly in a manner that was visible to the naked eye. That feeling was like a Xiaoqiang who couldn't be beaten to death, which made Samui and the others stunned. Is this the power of the tailed beast? Samui couldn't help looking at Uchiha Chinyu. But in the face of such a terrifying recovery ability, and the chakra power that burst out in an instant, Samui's heart is more shaking. Chapter 252-1 move can be used in the finale. How strong is he? Samui clenched his hands secretly. Looking at the entire Kumogakure village, facing the golden wood and silver wood that use the power of the tail beast, Samui believes that in addition to the fourth generation of Reikage, and Killer Bee Jinchuriki column power, to find an existence that can confront them head-on, there is almost nothing. At least, Samui believes he has no chance of winning. If it wasn't for the sudden intrusion of Uchiha and Chinyu this time, I'm afraid this time the rebellion of the Kagaya clan would definitely succeed. Roar. Jinmu and Silvermu suddenly rushed out of the ruins, and while roaring up to the sky, the violent chakra surged frantically. Uchiha Chinyu, try our most powerful trump card. This blow can instantly kill hundreds of people. Silver roared. At the same time as the bloody mouth was bluffing, the tailed beast chakra, which was rolling on the surface, gathered wildly in the mouths of the two. This is a small tailed beast bomb. Dodai's expression suddenly changed, and he was the first to exclaim, "Escape, let's escape." As the teacher of Killer Bee Jinchuriki column force, of course he knows exactly what means as a human Jinchuriki column force. However, he never imagined that Jinmu and Silverwood would not only be able to transform into a tailed beast by devouring the meat of the tailed beast, but would also be able to display such attacks. However, in the face of Dodai's surprise, Kumogakure, who was present, was indifferent. An elderly elite Jonin, staring at Chinyu, suddenly muttered to himself, "Do we really need to escape?" The inexplicable words made Dodai's expression stagnate. Compared with his fuss, there are hundreds of Kumogakure on the field, but it is completely different. Tailed Beast Bomb, which claims to be comparable to the destructive power of S-rank ninjutsu, they are completely indifferent. Looking at Chinyu's gaze, there was a hint of urgency. Right. Faced with the existence of a tailed beast that can be trained as a dog, what is a small tailed beast bomb? Roar. The violent roar ripped apart the sky again, and the tailed beast bomb formed by the gathering of Yuhi's chakras burst through the air instantly. The speed was so fast that the air along the way stirred up a ripple, and the ground seemed to be overwhelmed, forcibly pulling out a hideous crack. A distance of a kilometer is just a few breaths. The blow that seemed to be able to destroy the world finally came to Chinyu. Do not. It should be said that it came to Susanoo. Facing this ultimate move, which was claimed to be able to kill hundreds of people in one blow, Chinyu moved in full view. A little, Susanoo reached out with a bland hand, and went straight to the tailed beast bomb to catch it. The next moment, the 5 fingers clenched suddenly, and a low explosion sounded with a puff. The violent explosion gust of wind gushes out like between fingers, rolling up large tracts of sand and gravel. At the same time, it also shook the minds of the people who were like sculptures. Looking at the fierce and unparalleled attack, in front of Qin Yu, he was easily crushed like an understatement. This huge gap is too much to be caught off guard. Do not. It should be said that the strength gap between the two is simply like a gulf, making it impossible to measure. The tailed beast turned Jinmu and Silverwood were also stunned. The tyranny in his mind originally seemed to be poured cold water on his head at this moment, and it was directly cooled from the head to the bottom of the feet. At this moment, he finally knew why Elder Mujiao lived to the end every time. Judging the situation can make people live 100 years longer. Uchiha Qin Yu, can we talk? Perhaps, we are not qualified to cooperate with you, but we can be your subordinates, like those two dogs. Silverwood spoke hastily. However, upon seeing Qin Yu's warm smile, his spine was inexplicably chilled. It's okay to be a subordinate, but only if you take this move. Qin Yu said with a smile. Susano changed again under the watchful eyes of everyone. With 3 heads and 6 arms, a body about 100 meters high, with an Asura-like posture, it completely explained the origin of Qin Yu's nickname. The 6 pairs of eyes that were originally closed suddenly opened, and at the same time as the 6 big hands swung, various chakra attributes rushed out. My move can be used in the finale. Suiten, water style, Rasengan Shuriken. Yoden, lava style, Rasengan Shuriken. Futon, wind style, Rasengan Shuriken. Raiden, thunder style, Rasengan Shuriken. Doden, earth style, Rasengan Shuriken. Kaden, fire style, Rasengan Shuriken. The chakra of the 6 major attributes, the moment when it surges wildly, gives people an illusion like a constellation of stars. The breath exuded is like an invisible big hand tightening a person's heart. When the sound of Gulu swallowing saliva was heard in the arena, Kanamu and Silvermu didn't think about it, they pulled away and quickly retreated. Several times during the ups and downs, they jumped hundreds of meters away, and when they looked back and peeked, the Shira-like Susano moved instantly. The 6 big hands swung, and all kinds of Rasengan Shuriken burst out of the void in an instant. With a rolling gesture, he headed towards Kaneki and Silverwood. 2 was over 1,000 meters, but in the face of Susano's full-strength blow, this distance was only reached in the blink of an eye. Looking at the 6 Rasengan Shuriken rapidly expanding in their pupils, Kaneki and Silverwood only had time to let out an unwilling scream. Don't! Boom! A thunderous explosion sounded, and the violent air wave directly overturned the entire canyon. Everywhere along the way, the rocks crumbled, the ground was torn, the sand flew under the rocks, and everything was like paper. There is no way to make the explosion air wave stop for a while. Looking at the scene that seemed to destroy the world, Dodai, who was in the hurricane, roared anxiously while his pupils contracted. Remove the seal quickly and defend with all your strength. There was a burst of urgency, but this time there was no hesitation. The Raiden Thunder style sealing barrier that was fully exerted was directly abandoned. The hands flew quickly, forming a series of magic seals at the same time, and the earth walls quickly condensed and turned into thick city walls. Boom! The tyrannical air wave instantly hit the earth wall. The seemingly indestructible city wall shattered with a bang, and at the same time the rocks flew, the nerves of Dodai and the others were tense to ultimate. Iwagakure, who was born in the land, they know the art of Doden, earth style, but the defensive power of the constructed earth wall is far less than that of Iwagakure of Grandmaster Doden, earth style. Usually, it can be used to defend against some petty attacks. Rasengans that can play the finale in one move. 6 Rasengans is not something to cover. Samui, hurry up and think of a way. Dodai couldn't hold back. Thinking of it, the friendship between Samui and Qin Yu a moment ago might be able to save them at this critical moment of life and death. However, after these words fell, everything in the field changed again. Chapter 253 give you two choices. Doden, Earth style, Doden, Earth style, wall. The indifferent voice suddenly sounded. Samui only had time to see Chinyu's hands flying, and when he realized it, the ground was rumbling continuously. One after another, huge earth walls of dozens of meters surged up in all directions, instantly forming a huge circular city wall. The 10,000-meter-long canyon is shrouded in it. The violent scene shook everyone's nerves. This person is more than a person, and stepping on a horse is maddening. Same as to cast Doden, Earth style, the other party starts a big castle. That was to stop all the violent explosions. For a time, Kumogakure, who was inside the earth wall, his nerves tense, actually felt a little more fortunate in his heart. Hearing the roaring explosions coming from outside, and the huge figure of Shira, full of gorilla Yuhi blood, full of calamity, the huge scene fell into an inexplicable silence. Faced with this enemy, they couldn't even think of doing it for a while. The blast wave raged for a full minute, before everything recovered. The earthen walls built in all directions collapsed into the void after the spell and chakra dissipated, turning into Lois and sinking into the ground. Susano, like Ashura, also disappeared. Chinyu was the only one left, standing quietly in the huge ruins thousands of meters, on the only remaining rock. The canyon basin, which was directly raised to the ground, appears to be devastated. The shattered rocks and the ravine-like earth made Chunin swallow his saliva for a while. Originally, Fierce Flame was arrogant, and kept saying that he wanted to cooperate with Konoha Missing Nin, blood-colored Asura Uchiha Chinyu on an equal footing with Jinmu and Silvermu. I am afraid it has been bombed and disappeared now. This kind of godlike existence is not something they can fight against. Next, the two sides stand on opposite sides again, and this battle will definitely die. Master Dodai. Were urgent cries from all directions, and hundreds of Kumogakure rushed to the scene. Many people were still injured and looked extremely embarrassed. Pupils shrank abruptly when they saw the thin figure wearing Yuhi-colored auspicious cloud robes. This is Konoha Scarlet Asura, how could he be here? Is he an accomplice who colluded with the Kagaya clan? Now that the fourth generation of Raikage and the eight-tailed killer bee are not around, can we stop Uchiha Chinyu? Quote. The scene suddenly became chaotic. The face of the rebellion of Jinmu and Silvermu, they still have the courage to fight, but in the face of the recently famous Konoha Missing Ninuchiha Chinyu in the ninja world. In their hearts, there was an inexplicable trembling. It has only been a few months since Uchiha Chinyu's strong rise to the present. And every battle shocked the ninja world. Whether it's a battle with disparity in numbers or an encounter with peak combat power, only the blood-colored Asura, Uchiha Chinyu, can survive. Stop, calm me down. Dodai's expression changed, and he shouted in a hurry. The battle just now is still vivid in my mind. Even Jinmu and Silvermu, who displayed the tail beast mode, couldn't stand Chinyu's move. Then it means that the people they are present will shoot together. The chances of winning are also close to zero. Now Dodai just looked at Samui with eager eyes. Do not. Kumogakure present who witnessed this battle with their own eyes. You, Uchiha Chinyu. Feeling the gazes from all around, Samui had an indescribable feeling in his heart. She and Chinyu have known each other for only half a day. However, it seemed to her that it was very long. From the vigilance at the beginning, to the gratitude later, to the shock now. Uchiha Chinyu in front of her gave her an inexplicable sense of security. However, just after these words fell, Chinyu's body was covered with black thunder. Like a ghost, he displayed the Raiden Thunder style instant technique and appeared in front of Samui. The violent scene shook the nerves of those who came later. In the eyes of many people, Samui, who is only 17 or 18 years old, is like a goddess in terms of strength and appearance. Facing the suddenly violent Chinyu, how could they calm down? If it wasn't for the fierce reputation of Konoha's bloody Asuras, they would have already preempted and they would be heroes. Hundreds of pairs of eyes stared at Chinyu, and the slowly raised right hand touched her forehead again. At the same time as the warm smile bloomed, the voice of the words fell. Don't worry, for your sake, I'll clean up the mess and I'll leave. You should step back first. As Chinyu spoke, his eyes crossed Samui and landed on the barrier that had lost the support of chakra and trapped tailed Maoyu. The unexpected scene made the Kumogakure, who were already worried, look stagnant for a while. Samui, who was molested by Kai Guago in public, he covered his forehead, revealing a shy face. This is undoubtedly too far from the goddess they usually know. Who would believe it if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes? Roar. The roar of fierce tears echoed suddenly. The violent chakra rolled back with a tyrannical attitude at the same time. The enchantment stone Jinchuriki column, which was built by a group of Kumogakure, was shattered in an instant. Under the rolling sand, a huge body with dark blue and black mysterious spell marks appeared in front of him. This is a tailed beast riot. Is God going to destroy our Kumogakure village? A Uchiha Chinyu has already made people feel hopeless, and now there is another beast with a runaway tail. Is this still alive? The scene was chaotic all of a sudden, and many Kumogakure, who had been on the battlefield, were shaken, and their faces were also full of despair. What's more, his face was full of bitterness. Right now, in Kumogakure village, the fourth generation of Raikage and Killer Bee Jinchuriki column are all out of power to resist this crisis. That's simply not possible. Calm down, everyone calm down, don't shoot casually. Dodai spoke suddenly. After taking a look at Uchiha Chinyu, he slowly drew back and said, let Samui handle it here. In Dodai's eyes, instead of provoking Chinyu's anger, he pushed Kumogakure to ruin. It is better to obediently withdraw from the battle between Chinyu and the tail beast. After all, right now, whether it's tailed Maoyu or Uchiha Chinyu, it's not an existence they can provoke. The inexplicable and wonderful scene made the Kumogakure reinforcements who hurriedly rushed in for a while, and while hurriedly looking at Chinyu, the words that fell in his ears shook his nerves even more. I'll give you two choices, the first is to follow me obediently, and the second is to follow me after you get beaten up by me. Chapter 254 Who is going to stop how to stop? These two options. It's too aggressive. Kumogakure, who was present, was stunned. In the face of the tailed beast, that ninja village is not ready for battle. Who is like this scene in front of me, so lightly, not caring at all? Lord Dodai, what should we do now? The two elderly Kumogakure, who fell directly beside Dodai, couldn't help asking. If Konoha Ashura and Futuro fight here, our Kumogakure village will suffer. Do we need an advance order of evacuation? Right now, this place is Kumogakure village. If Uchiha Chinyu is allowed to run wild here, there will always be something wrong. Moreover, once the battle begins, the scale of this battle is not a small fight, it is more likely to overturn an entire shinobi village. You don't need it. You can see his fighting style clearly. Maybe you will meet him on the battlefield in the future. This battle will end in an instant. Dodai said solemnly. Not long ago, this expression and tone appeared on other people. But now it's completely different. At least, after witnessing the scene of Jinmu and Silvermu being crushed, Dodai's cognition was overturned. The inexplicable words fell, instantly tense everyone's nerves, and they felt uneasy in their hearts, but in the depths of their eyes, there was also an inexplicable urgency. One is the legendary Konoha Scarlet Asura, and the other is the Wraith Demon Cat, the second ranked among the nine-tailed beasts. If it is possible, this battle does have great reference significance. For a time, on the huge ruins, the atmosphere that emerged in the field became more and more depressing. After the two-tailed cat broke through the barrier again, the blue chakra was flipping, and the blood moon-like eyes turned in vain and locked on Chin Yu's body. The bloody mouth bluffed, and the moment when the voice was swallowed, it shook everyone's nerves. "I would like to leave with you." The simple 7 characters echoed on the ruins for a long time without dispersing. Dodai, who was prepared to give up his life at any time in order to block the aftermath of the battle, was immediately stunned. A moment ago, he was saying that this battle would end quickly. But he never thought that the dignified tailed beast would surrender to a young man in front of everyone's eyes. If you didn't see it with your own eyes, I'm afraid not many people in the field would like to believe that all this is true. Are you really going to surrender? Sanwei took the lead in crawling out of Chin Yu's cloak, and said anxiously, "Stinky cat, why don't you surrender? Let the boss beat you first, otherwise it will not conform to the rules. Look at the bones of the boss, maybe you really have a chance to smash him with one paw." "I don't want it, boss, let's go." The two-tailed cat glared at him again, under the impression that it did not match the Kumogakure village. With a bang, the body exuded a large white mist, and it turned directly into a sky-blue house cat size under the body. In the ruins, during several ups and downs, they landed on Chin Yu's shoulders. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, he rubbed his head against Chin Yu's neck affectionately. That appearance is simply a familiar face, completely forgetting the cruel appearance of the past. "Okay, don't argue, it's getting late, and it's time for us to leave here." Chin Yu glanced at the three-tailed beast, and then looked at Niyugito with a face full of reluctance. "There is no such thing as a feast in the world. Next, listen carefully to the words of Big Sister Fierce and work hard to improve your strength. It's not easy to be a Jinchuriki column, but now you don't have to." Chin Yu rubbed Niyugito's head. Looking at the expression that was hesitant to speak, after shaking his head, he looked at Kimimaro and said, "Let's go." Abandoning these words, Chin Yu turned around and left first. Kimimaro, who had been standing by and watched the battle, didn't hesitate, and quickly chased after him. After a few ups and downs, the two figures that disappeared in front of him were compared with Niyugito, who was full of reluctance. After a moment of silence, Samui muttered to himself, "Who is fierce? The next time we meet, I'm afraid it will be on the battlefield." Minutes passed by. 2 slightly old figures, guarded by 7 or 8 Anbu ninjas, quickly landed on the ruins. Looking at the land full of Kangyi, the withered bark-like cheeks had a hint of iron blue. Especially when I saw that the Matsuri altar, which had originally banned the two-tailed cat, was abruptly destroyed. This made the two elders feel bad, their old faces sank, and they shouted sharply, "Dodai, where is the two-tailed cat?" According to Anbu's report just now, Konoha Missing Nin, the blood-colored Asura, appeared in this place. You have stopped him. Whether it's Uchiha Chin Yu's invasion of Kumogakure village, or tailed Maoyu's seal riot, if anything goes wrong, you can't escape the relationship. Stop him. Kumogakure, who was present, was stunned at first, and then Dodai said with a livid expression, "Elder, are you planning to stop us?" Konoha Missing Ninuchiha Chin Yu. That's an existence that even the rebellious Jinmu and Silverwood can easily beheaded, and even the two-tailed cat and also voluntarily surrender. Speaking of this, Dodai's face became more determined, and he shouted sharply, "May I ask the elders, how do you stop us? Are you using life and corpses to build a wall to stop Uchiha Chin Yu's steps? If this is the case, I can tell you clearly that this will destroy the entire Kumogakure village. It can be said that now that Urwei has been taken away, the departure of Uchiha Chin Yu is for our Kumogakure village. Result, quote, a tailed beast, perhaps for a village, is a powerful weapon for the icing on the cake. However, if even the village no longer exists, what is the role of having a tailed beast?" Although Dodai's remarks are a bit sentimental, but it makes one feel irrefutable. At least that sentence, what to use to stop it and how to stop it, did express the aspirations of many people. Looking at the indifferent Kumogakure, the two elders turned ashen, their cheeks like dry tree bark twitched, and hurriedly shouted, "Okay, very good, I didn't expect Dodai to turn against you." Openly refuting the elders' decision, "Then I want to ask, how do you explain to the fourth-generation Raikage when such a big event happened?" This time, Jinmu and Silvermu lead the riot, the tailed beast is lost, and Uchiha Chinyu makes a scene in Kumogakure village. Any of these can be called a capital crime for Dodai, who has been entrusted so much. Right now, just as the two elders said, the god of plague is sent away, but once the charges are investigated, who will be responsible? "Hey, don't worry, I will personally go to the Five Shadows meeting held in the Iron Country and report to the fourth Raikage Lord," Dodai said coldly. "Of course, the next defense of the village will be handed over to the two of you. Elders, you pray that Uchiha Chinyu will not hear your words in return, and then release the three-headed tailed beast for a walk." For the two elders who hid when there was something to do, and only came out when there was nothing to do, not to mention Dodai, and even Kumogakure who was present was no exception. Chapter 255 The Whereabouts of Uchiha Itachi. These words, Dodai turned around and walked straight out of the village with several henchmen. The huge ruins, the leftovers, hundreds of pairs, and even thousands of pairs of eyes, all locked on the two elders. Facing the last cruel words, Rao Shi and the others had no way to refute them. They could only watch for a while, then snorted angrily, turned around and left. Outside, Uchiha Chinyu took Kimimaro to the green light all the way in Kumogakure village and left the village directly. After all, the place where the two-tailed cat was originally sealed was conveniently located on the edge of the desolate area. The riot just now, those Kumogakure who were stationed had already been alerted to go to support. Even Kumogakure, who stayed behind, obviously knew what happened just now. In the face of the fierce Uchiha Chinyu, who dares to stop him and how to stop him? The only thing he could do was to watch Uchiha and Chinyu leave with respect. "Boss, is this stinky cat going to be sealed? Monkey and I can help." Sanwei couldn't hold back. "Along the way, we have to fight again and again. If it weren't for the existence of Uchiha Chinyu, I'm afraid the earth would have been destroyed directly." "Stinky turtle, why do you insist on biting me? Boss, you have to call the shots for me." The two-tailed cat is obviously familiar, the boss on the left and the boss on the right, it's just a joyous cry. It is precisely because of this attitude that Sanwei, who originally followed Chinyu's side, was completely invisible. In the end, angrily added another adjective to the two-tailed cat. "Xiaolong. Okay, don't be fooling around anymore, the little three is to make things difficult for you to eat in one bite." Chinyu rolled his eyes helplessly. "Eat? What to eat? Our tailed beasts don't need to eat." The two-tailed cat was startled again. The nine-tailed beasts have wrong tempers, and they also have their own pride, except for Shukaku and Kyubi, Nine-Tails Kurama, who have always been wrong. Other tailed beasts will not be divided into life and death as soon as they meet. The actions of the three tails at the moment are completely beyond its expectations. HMPH, superficial guy, don't cry and fight with us in the future. Sanwei glared angrily. He didn't continue arguing, he turned and got into Chinyu's cloak. For a time, the scene fell into a brief silence. As for the dispute from the tailed beast, Kimimaro even ignored it, raised his brows slightly, and soon saw a ninja eagle entangled in black blood vessels descending from the sky. "Don't be nervous, it's your own." Chinyu instantly saw that this was Kakuzu's method. Since the last meeting, Kakuzu and the others have acted independently. Although Chinyu had also thought about letting them form a team, each of them was outstanding in strength and character. Of course, if they were willing to join forces, Chinyu would also be happy to see it. While speaking, Chinyu raised his hand, and the eagle controlled by the blood vessels descended from the sky and landed on Qin Yu's arm. With a mouth open, a small paper scroll was spit out. As this information, Four Tails became interested. For everything Qin Yu did, it did not take it to heart. But looking at the big-tailed beasts that were gradually gathered, although sometimes they were bickering. However, the feeling to them is a bit like the smell of the Six Paths Fairy when they were alive. Boss, have you encountered that unlucky ghost again? This time, you must beat him up before surrendering. Santai, who had already burrowed into the cloak, couldn't hold back his curiosity and got out again. When he thought that he was the first to be recovered by Qin Yu that day, that ignorant idea was completely to attract a fat beating. Rather than being a joke of the future, it's more willing to harm other people. It shouldn't be. Qin Yu raised his brows and untied the special intelligence seal on the scroll. Soon, an illusory figure appeared out of thin air. As expected of an old monster who has lived for 70 or 80 years, this means of communication can also be used. Qin Yu couldn't help but be amazed. However, in the original work, the members of Akatsuki were originally grandmasters in this way of communication. No matter how far apart they are, they can cast their thoughts and gather in the place of Gedo Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. Then gather the strength of everyone, cast the 9 dragons ban, and seal the tailed beast. Boss, I'm Kakuzu, the illusory figure said suddenly. However, when he saw the two-tailed cat lying on Qin Yu's shoulders, his pupils contracted slightly, and he couldn't help but sigh. I didn't expect that the speed of the boss is faster than ours. I just found out about the Nanwei Shigame. The whereabouts, but I also found another thing that is more important to you, boss. It's more important to me. Qin Yu raised his brows, and Sanwei, who was beside him, couldn't hold his breath and said, Don't be a fool. Where is the bug? I'll beat it up first. Looking at Sanwei, who was afraid that the world would not be in chaos, Kakuzu just glanced at it one more time, did not answer, and said directly, It's Uchiha Itachi's whereabouts. When I was tracking Nanao, I accidentally found that Uchiha Itachi fell into the hands of Anbu in Taki Ninja Village. Looking at their thoughts, it seemed that they were planning to get his Sharingan. I learned from Biwajuzo before that he seems to have a good relationship with the boss. Having said that, Kakuzu didn't go any further, and smart people know what's on point. Before I figure it out, once I get to the bottom of it, I'm afraid it will be counterproductive. That boy Itachi ran out. Qin Yu touched the tip of his nose helplessly. It was indeed unexpected for Itachi to fall into the hands of Anbu of Taki Ninja Village. However, according to the original work, after Uchiha Itachi opened 3 Tomo Sharingan, he could not even do the most terrifying and powerful Konoha female Anbu ninja among the so-called Anbu roots. Taki Ninja Village is the ninja village second only to the 5 major countries, and it also bought the tailed beast in the hands of the original Hokage Senju Hashirama. But that was when Kakuzu hadn't defected and slaughtered the top. In the Taki Ninja Village in the original book, even a so-called Jonin, drinking a sip of the hero's water, can almost destroy a third-rate village. Now that Uchiha Itachi is in their hands, it does feel intriguing. Boss, what are your plans now? Kakuzu said again. Qin Yu frowned. Originally, he planned to return to Omegakure village to see the situation of Nagato and others. After all, I promised Conan to keep a low profile, and now wearing this Yuhi-colored auspicious cloud cloak, when such a big event happens, at least I have to go back and walk around. However, Uchiha Itachi suddenly left Konoha Shinobi Village and fell into the hands of Taki Shinobi Village. Qin Yu still intends to take a trip first. You leave me a coordinate, I'll go meet you first. Qin Yu said. Kakuzu didn't feel any surprise, nodded, and the illusory figure collapsed suddenly. Boss, follow this ninja eagle and you can join me. We are not too far apart. As the figure dissipated, the blood vessels on Ninja's body wriggled and fluttered. At the same time, the Kingdom of Iron also became extremely lively for the upcoming Five Shadows Conference. Chapter 256 Wind and Cloud gather the Iron Country. Come on, get ready soon, the shadows of the 5 major countries are arriving soon. The Kingdom of Iron, with the convening of the Five Shadows Conference, this one has always maintained neutrality in the ninja world, and it has become completely lively. A samurai in heavy armor and a sword on his waist gathered in front of the city gate and quickly lined up. A middle-aged man in his mid-50s with tangled hair like grass walked slowly. Compared with other samurai, this middle-aged man did not wear a helmet, but he exuded an aura of a superior. If Chin-Yu was there, he would definitely recognize that the middle-aged man in front of him was the first 3 ships of the undead warrior known as the demigod Hanzo of the Salamander. Mifune-sama, I'm ready. The 5 major countries suddenly held a meeting in our country of iron. This has not happened for many years. A burly warrior, nearly 2 meters tall, stood out from the crowd. In the country of iron, the samurai mainly master grandmaster swordsmanship, and then coupled with chakra, can burst into a powerful strength comparable to the ninja. Among them, Okusuke, who is shrouded in heavy armor, is good at fast ii slash. Another samurai of the same stature who was in charge of coordinating the formation was Rikakaku. In the country of iron, they are all A-rank warriors, comparable to the elite Jonin. Moreover, in the duel between the samurai and the ninja, once the ninja is in the hands of the samurai, it will fall into the inferior position. I heard that a powerful Sharingan missing nin appeared in the Konoha ninja village, with the same Mangekyo Sharingan as their ancestors. Mifune said directly without hiding. After all, their country of iron, this time is just a venue for negotiation. Konoha, S Uchiha clan. Is that the bloody Asura? Li Jiao suddenly said. Changsuke, who was beside him, patted him on the shoulder and said, I didn't expect you to be very well informed. According to my intelligence network, this blood-colored Asura was in the Konoha ninja village, but it took 16 years of dormancy before he chose to become a blockbuster. Not only did they repel the surprise attack on Kurigakure and Kumogakure villages, but in Konoha, the alliance between Danzo and Orochimaru was exposed. The whereabouts of the 3rd generation of Raikage are unknown, and the 4th generation of Jinchuriki column force was also killed by him. I am afraid that this person was the legendary power of the Uchiha clan. Having said that, Okusuke looked at Mifune. The expressions of the warriors present changed slightly, and they looked at each other in dismay. They are neutral, but it does not mean that they can really stay out of the riots in the human ninja world. It was as if Mifune fought the demigod Hanzo of the Salamander that day. It is precisely because Hanzo of the Salamander's ambitions are so great that even their Iron Kingdom intends to annex them. That person's name is Uchiha Chin-Yu. I heard that he is indeed a remarkable existence, and his subordinates have gathered a large number of S-rank missing nin. Mifune said. However, as soon as the voice fell, a violent wind and waves rolled back in all directions. The nerves of the warriors present were tense, and they all looked towards the gate. Sanchuan, you're still the same, and in the face of a newcomer, you are making such a random evaluation, which will encourage others' arrogance and underestimate our 5 countries. A loud voice suddenly sounded. In the sky, a thunder fell from the sky, and there was a sound of rolling thunder. As the thunderlight dissipated, a figure with arcs flowing all over his body appeared in front of everyone's eyes. It's the 4th generation Raikage. Changsuke's expression changed slightly, and he said in a deep voice. Kumogakure's temperament is also well known in the ninja world. Especially the Raikage father and son, 3 generations and 4 generations, are violent like thunder. Hehe, 4th generation Raikage, your speed is still so fast, but Mifune seniors also expressed their own opinions. Uchiha Chin-Yu's strength is really good, that's why we gather here. The violent water flow spun out of thin air in the void, and quickly gathered 4 figures. Karatake Yagura, a short stature with an iron rod on his back. He was followed by Terumi Mei, Zaibujian, and Ching. This is the new 4th generation Mizukage. I heard that the previous one also fell into the hands of Uchiha Chinyu. A samurai suddenly lowered his voice and said, "You bastards, can you talk nonsense?" A cold voice suddenly sounded. The footsteps of Zaibuzan suddenly took a step, and the whole person disappeared in place like a ghost, and came to the side of the samurai who was rude. The specially designed ninja sword in his hand, with a stern sound of breaking through the air, attacked the samurai in the air. The violent scene shook everyone's nerves. No one would have thought that in the country of iron, if they didn't cut it again, they would make a move. Seeing that the huge beheading sword was about to fall, the sharp sound of the sword suddenly echoed. Home cut. His right hand around his waist, and Tachi was instantly unsheathed under futon, wind-style chakra. Under the watchful eyes of the public, with a posture that was too fast to cover his ears, he took the lead and stopped in front of the beheading sword that was slashed from the sky. Boom! The dull thunder-like collision sound rolled and dispersed, and the gust of wind that was set off quickly rolled back around. Boom! The rude samurai looked at the beheading sword that stopped a few inches in front of him, his pupils contracted and he fell to the ground in shock. The atmosphere of the scene suddenly became extremely depressed. Mifune-sama, there is a huge golden floating sand in the sky over there. A samurai quickly rushed into the distance. Looking at the tense atmosphere in the field, I couldn't help but stop. Haha, I didn't expect that. I was just a step late, and you all almost started fighting. It seems that this meeting is more lively than before. Jinsha Mansion approached quickly in the distance. Then, in front of everyone's eyes, he landed on the ground. By Rasa, as well as Chiyo and Maki, as representatives of Sunagakure village, they landed in front of everyone with extremely dazzling gestures. It can be said that if not for the lessons of not cutting violent attacks again, I'm afraid the people in the field will say another sentence. The death of the 3rd generation of Kazekage of the previous generation is also inseparable from Uchiha Chinyu. HMPH, Rasa, after the last battle, your way of appearing is still exaggerated as always. Be careful of being robbed in the middle. It's not good to lose your life. The 4th generation Raikage snorted coldly and said unhappily. Their country of thunder, Hefeng, also has territorial borders, so the fight has always occurred. It can be said that the cage-level powerhouses present can become the representatives of the villages, more or less because of Uchiha Chinyu. If the shadows of the villages hadn't been killed, they wouldn't have sat in this position so early. Hee, you are all new faces. It seems that only I have a longer life. Those old opponents are dead. A slightly old voice came out. 3 figures floating in the air slowly fell. However, the most eye-catching is the little old man headed. It can be said that regardless of the turmoil in the ninja world, this old man can't be beaten to death by relying on this shadow's position. Chapter 257 The Situation of the Runaway. Old man Onoki, are you saying that Iwagakure village has no successor, so you have to be carried by the old man in front of you? Raikage of the 4th generation suddenly said. Soon, the atmosphere that seemed a bit depressing in the field was pushed to the top in an instant. Little boy, you are too arrogant. Today, your father died, so let me teach you a lesson instead of him. 2 days ago, Onoki roared, and the white light in his hands instantly condensed. A terrifying and destructive aura quickly spread out. Looking for death, Raikage of the 4th generation roared, and he was also not the one who would be humble. At the same time that the thunder light on his body crackled and rang in his ears, his whole body turned into a thunderbolt, appearing in front of the 2-day Onoki as fast as a thunderbolt. The violent blow made Onoki's face change slightly. His Jinten particle style is very strong and can pierce through anything in an instant, turning it into flying dust. However, the process of performing this technique also takes a while. facing the 4th generation Hokage who was good at speed. At such a distance of more than 10 meters, it is obviously at a disadvantage. Although it can be shot in time in this situation. It's just that once the attack collides, at such a close distance, the wave of explosive air that rolls up will implicate the people in the field. Whoosh! A sound of breaking through the air instantly sounded, and the golden figure suddenly appeared. The next moment, like a tiger's mouth, the two hands clasped the wrists of the 4th generation Hokage and Onoki one step ahead. The chakra, which the two of them had gathered, also dissipated with this squeeze. After all, from the very beginning, they were just paper tigers and had no real intention of doing it. No matter how exaggerated the way they appear, they are all to promote the strength of their country and to stand up in public. It's just that they never imagined that no matter how they behave, there is no such thing as a timely and rainy figure in front of them, and it will come more dashing and outstanding. Senior Onoki, we meet again. Namikaze Minato said with a smile. Now the 5 shadows are gathering to negotiate important matters. Everyone is willing to visit in person, and it is also with the same purpose. Why don't we let go of our prejudices? Let's talk about it first. Quote. Namikaze Minato also released his hands and looked at Karatake Yagura in the field. Karatake Yagura, as the backbone of the 5 Shadows Conference, quickly agreed and said, "That's right, the two of you don't give Yagura face, but should give face to the 4th generation of Hokage, right? Now the Konoha ninja village is very prosperous, and the 2 shadows coexist. That's a big happy event." The people present couldn't help but startled, but no one was willing to refute. Hokage, who has always been arrogant and rude, snorted coldly and dissipated the lightning arc from his body. As Karatake Yagura said, 2 shadows coexist. This is not to belittle other ninja villages and support Konoha. On the contrary, this is a matter of iron. HMPH, I thought it was the monkey running here, but I didn't expect him to retire so soon. Onoki snorted coldly, his body suspended in midair also landed firmly on the ground. Karatake Yagura also glanced at it and said, "If you do and come back soon, don't embarrass our Kurigakure village again." No one will believe this statement. If it wasn't for Karatake Yagura's approval, they wouldn't believe it, and they would never dare to act like this in the Iron Country. However, his approach, whether it is the 4 great nations, or Mifune and others of the Iron Country, is very clear. Everything is to prove the strength of the samurai, no worse than the ninja. It is for this reason that he is qualified to host this 5 Shadows Conference. HMPH no longer snorted coldly, turned around and left without stopping. However, on the blade that saw the cold light flowing, the slightly chipped curling blade made the face of Zaibuchu turn ashen. For him, the pursuit of forbearance and breaking the sword is precisely because it can withstand and rough treatment. No matter how you cut it, or how you use it. This broken knife will absorb enough blood to regenerate and repair itself. It can be said that this kind of ninja tool is enough to let Zaibujin kill the enemy without any worries. The newly minted beheading sword is similar in shape but completely different in nature. This undoubtedly limits Zaibuju's true strength. Okay, this is just a misunderstanding. It is my Mifune's honor to be able to visit the Iron Country. Mifune came out at the right time, his eyes turned in vain, and he landed behind Namikaze Minato. Haha, I didn't expect that there will be 2 old faces this time. The handwriting of your Konoha shinobi village is as great as ever. The inexplicable words immediately caused everyone in the field to be startled. Hurriedly following their gazes, the pupils of many people shrank slightly, even Onoki and the 4th generation Hokage were no exception. Are these 2 of the Konoha Sannin? A samurai couldn't help asking. Nodded and said, "This is a strong man with enough qualifications to become a shadow, but I didn't expect that the 3 generations of Hokage would skip them and pass the position to Konoha Yellow Flash Namikaze Minato." "Hey, Okusuke, you are still the same, talking nonsense here. Jiraiya raised her hand and looked at Mifune. Can't you let me and Tsunade hide for a while? You have to break our good times. Jiraiya, what nonsense are you talking about here? Shut up. Tsunade snorted coldly. His mouth was unhappy, but he rarely beat him. After looking around in the field, he looked at Raikage of the 4th generation and said, I didn't expect you to be a Raikage too. However, except for Tsuchikage, everyone can become shadows. I'm afraid it has something to do with Uchiha, both indirectly and directly. Tsunade, you still despised it as always. The 4th Raikage snorted coldly. This time, however, he was not as furious as he was with Onoki. Yo-yo, isn't this the one that Big Brother loves and loses love, Senju Tsunade? Is he going to make 101 confessions and fail? Killer B's voice came from the forest, and that rap gesture instantly made the 4th generation Raikage's cheeks twitch. Stand up. With a backhand toss, kunai filled with lightning, made a stern sound of breaking through the air, and shot straight towards Killer B. Boom. Kunai was directly dodged by Killer B, and was inserted into the trunk of the tree at once. The huge impact force directly broke the tree in the middle. Shut up, you bastard. Raikage of the 4th generation had already expected this result, and after a cold snort, he looked at Tsunade and said, even 2 Konoha Sannin have come. It seems that you Konoha Shinobi village are concerned about this time. The matter of Uchiha and Chinyu is taken very seriously. Quote. We want to know what your Konoha ninja village is going to do with this missing nin, which the 4th generation Mizukage has called the safety of the ninja world. Chapter 258 I am willing to cut off my head. Yo-yo, isn't this the one that Big Brother loves and loses love, Senju Tsunade? Is he going to make 101 confessions and fail? Killer B's voice came from the forest, and that rap gesture instantly made the 4th generation Raikage's cheeks twitch. Stand up. With a backhand toss, kunai filled with lightning, made a stern sound of breaking through the air, and shot straight towards Killer B. Boom. Kunai was directly dodged by Killer B, and was inserted into the trunk of the tree at once. The huge impact force directly broke the tree in the middle. Shut up, you bastard. Raikage of the 4th generation had already expected this result, and after a cold snort, he looked at Tsunade and said, even 2 Konoha Sannin have come. It seems that you Konoha Shinobi village are concerned about this time. The matter of Uchiha and Chinyu is taken very seriously. Quote. We want to know what your Konoha ninja village is going to do with this missing nin, which the 4th generation Mizukage has called the safety of the ninja world. As soon as these words came out, the situation in the field changed slightly in an instant. As any ninja village, once a missing nin appears, it will endanger the interests of other ninja villages. Not only does the major countries need to join forces to denounce it, but the country also needs to make greater efforts. For example, it is necessary to set up a special pursuit team to carry out pursuit attacks on missing nin. At the same time, it is necessary to send strong people to lead the team. In the original work, after the failed assassination of the 4th generation of Mizukage, Zaibujian obviously had this kind of treatment. Was chased and harassed by the chasing team sent by Anbu. Compared with other ninja villages, Konoha Ninja Village can be said to be a lot of strong people. Uchiha Chinyu's defection just made Konoha Ninja Village lose a dispensable Shimura Danzo. They lost the power of the Shadow and Tailed Orc's Jinchuriki column. I can't decide this matter, I leave it to Lord Hokage, I'm just here to pass the scene. Tsunade didn't answer, he just acted as a hands-off shopkeeper. Everyone's eyes turned in vain and fell on Namikaze Minato. Facing the changing atmosphere in the field, Namikaze Minato finally opened his mouth after taking a deep breath. He is very clear that since this is a plan researched by Konoha's senior management, no matter when it is, it needs to be said. What's more, if you don't hide your clumsiness and speak out as soon as possible, I'm afraid it can reduce the losses and conflicts of the major ninja villages. I want you to make peace with Uchiha Chinyu. At this moment, the small voice seemed to be filled with magical sounds, and it echoed in the field for a long time and could not be dissipated. No. Bullshit. You are dreaming. 3 violent shouts came out almost at the same time. As the convener of this 5 Shadows meeting, Karataki Yagura looked at the 4 generations of Reikage, Rasa, and 2 days of Onoki who were directly opposed, and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. First to pile up a smile and said, "Fourth Hokage, did you say something wrong? This time the 5 Shadows conference was held, but to help you Konoha Ninja Village to eradicate Uchiha Chinyu who endangered the ninja world. He has assembled a group of vicious people. Could it be that you, Konoha Shinobi Village, are still trying to protect him now? I still think that the losses of our other shinobi villages are simply insignificant." The slightly long voice, obviously let the field. The grievances in it were pushed directly upwards. Namikaze Minato Rao had expected it for a long time, but looking at the other 4 shadows, the reaction was so intense, it seemed a bit surprising. However, in the current situation, the arrow had to be thrown on the string. Namikaze Minato's expression sank, and he said again, "Everyone, I persuade you to make peace with Uchiha Chinyu, not for the purpose of benefiting Konoha Shinobi Village, but also not to shirk responsibility. Quote, I just want to tell everyone here, don't underestimate Uchiha Chinyu's strength and means, or you will suffer a loss." Do you underestimate him? The 4th generation Reikage suddenly roared. 4th generation Hokage, did you come here to make a smack before you finished your hair? No matter how good he is, can he really be compared to his ancestor Uchiha Madara? Don't forget, no matter how powerful he is only one person. We are the 5 great ninja villages. You ask us to put down our posture and make peace with him alone. This is simply a fool's dream. Yes, the 4th generation of Reikage is right. 2 days ago, Onoki also agreed coldly. That kid's goal is the tailed beast. The 3rd and 4th tails have already fallen into his hands. The Uchiha family can control the tailed beast. His current approach has fully revealed his ambition. Are you planning now, let us make peace with him, and then when he opens his mouth, will he hand over the tailed beast? Having said this for 2 days, Onoki's face turned somber to ultimate, and he shouted sharply, this is simply nowhere. If he really has the sincerity to make peace, then he will hand over all the missing nins under his command, and then dig his eyes out, otherwise there will be only one battle. The awe-inspiring voice made Namikaze Minato's face turn ashen. With this stubborn attitude, there is no way to talk about it at all. For a time, the huge situation fell into an inexplicable silence. Ahem, everyone, you all came from afar to resolve the matter of Uchiha and Chinyu. Mifune, as the host, saw that the situation was not right, and hurriedly interrupted. This is not a place to talk, let's move to the meeting room, and then we will have a good discussion or two, and maybe we will get a result that will satisfy everyone. Quote. HMPH, Mifune, don't be a peacemaker here. The 3rd generation of Reikage snorted coldly. If the 4th generation of Hokage had this idea from the beginning and planned to let us 4 shadows settle down, this is not at all possibly. Since this matter is impossible, what else are we worth discussing? No matter how powerful Uchiha Chinyu is, could he really be able to break through our ninja village? If this is the case, my 4th generation Reikage is willing to take this. The head was cut off and sent away. Yes. Karataki Yagura also nodded in agreement. Our 5 major ninja villages have been standing in the ninja world for a long time. Whether it has gone through many battles or turmoil, but has become stronger and stronger, it is all because of unity. In the eyes of the 4th generation of Hokage, Uchiha Chinyu's strength, no matter how powerful, is it still as powerful as his ancestor Uchiha Madara. As Reikage of the 4th generation said, since Uchiha Chinyu's purpose is to collect tailed beasts, he intends to use Mangekyo to control the tailed beasts to invade the 5 kingdoms and even the entire ninja world. Then, if he really dares to challenge and break through a ninja village for a tailed beast, my 4th generation Mizukage Karataki Yagura is also willing to cut off his head, give it to him, and write an extra word of service. I would too. 2 days ago, Onoki also spoke. Rasa, who was watching the play on the side, felt the gaze of the other 3 shadows, and his behavior was obviously forcing him to choose to stand in line. Look at the helpless Namikaze Minato, he said with a smile. If he can really break through a ninja village for a tailed beast, I would also be willing to cut his head and give it to him. Looking at the one-sided situation, Namikaze Minato's face was ashen, and after a moment of hesitation, he said, "But, in our ninja world, there is no ninja as powerful as the first Hokage, nor has it been able to detect the depth of Uchiha Chinyu. I just want to persuade you, don't really come. Let Uchiha Chinyu break the ninja village and regret it." Chapter 259 _ Is there one thing I should say? The huge situation instantly became audible. In the face of the common position of the 4 shadows, Namikaze Minato dared to say this. Falling in the ears of others, there is no doubt that there is a taste of contempt. Jiraiya and Tsunade's expressions also changed slightly, and they also felt a headache. After looking at each other, they secretly cheered up. Although Namikaze Minato's remarks are too reckless, his current identity is Hokage, which represents the attitude of Konoha Shinobi Village. No matter who the other party is, they have to protect Namikaze Minato well. Okay, what a Konoha ninja village, what a 4th generation Hokage. The 4th generation Raikage said goodbye twice, and the lightning suddenly skyrocketed on his body. When the crackling sounded endlessly, under the stride, it was like a thunderous strike from the air. The violent scene suddenly changed the expressions of everyone in the field. Waiting for them to react, the 4th generation of Raikage has appeared in front of Namikaze Minato. The right hand wrapped around the violent thunder light shot out with a low sonic boom. Thunder Plow Hot Knife. The first shot is the ultimate move. With the Raiden Thunder style chakra mode, under the blessing of the tyrannical speed, a sudden thunderbolt burst out. In this way, the head can be brought up in an instant. However, the attack was close enough. Namikaze Minato's right hand flicked, and Hiraishin flew out. The next moment, the whole person disappeared out of thin air like a ghost. When it reappeared, Namikaze Minato had already come behind the 4th Raikage, while holding Hiraishin Kunai in his hand. It is directly on the neck of the 4th generation Raikage. Big brother, Killer Bee roared, and the tailed beast chakra erupted on his body, and the tailed beast clothing immediately appeared on his body. However, under this delay, he was no longer allowed to shoot. Jiraiya clasped his hands together suddenly, and the lion's hair was like a long whip. Stop right in the path of Killer Bee's attack. Tsunade also faltered, falling behind Namikaze Minato and looking around vigilantly. HMPH, as expected of Konoha's Golden Flash, the speed is really not slow, but if you want to convince us to reconcile with Uchiha Chinyu just by this means, it's impossible. 4th Raikage snorted angrily, covering his entire body. The thunder light exploded like a frenzy. Don't put that stinky together. Gather this group of waste, and plan to be on an equal footing with our Kumogakure village. He will never know that Kumogakure village is an iron wall and unbreakable. The voice of the rolling words fell, and the violent thunder light detonated again. Namikaze Minato, who was standing behind him, to retreat in an instant. Watching this scene, Namikaze Minato's expression changed slightly. He grabbed Tsunade's shoulder, and quickly cast the Hiraishin technique and disappeared out of thin air. Boom! The fist wrapped around Li Guang, without any fancy, hit the ground directly. At the same time as the ground shattered, the gravel splashed, and the cracks spread quickly. The crowd of shadows and warriors who seemed to surround them all pulled away and retreated. After the scene calmed down, the rolling sand and dust dissipated, leaving only the broken ground and the four-generation wreckage standing on the ruins. As for Namikaze Minato, Tsunade and Jiraiya, they have already landed more than 10 meters away, and their expressions are a little more solemn. The current situation says it all. The proposal made by Namikaze Minato was rejected by the 4 major ninja villages at the same time. Then, Konoha Ninja Village will probably be isolated by the 4 major ninja villages, and even the sniper battle in the Iron Country. HMPH, the speed of escape is really fast. The person who came out of Konoha is really unusual. The 4th generation wreckage snorted coldly. After this blow, he was obviously angry, and the thunderlight flowing around his body dissipated a little or two. Afterwards, Shen Sheng said, "You Konoha are whimsical and intend to reconcile us. However, don't say we don't give you Hokage face. Let that kid choose. If he can really break through a ninja village, we may consider 1 or 2. It's just, don't blame us for not telling him in advance. To attack Ninja Village, that's the stupidest thing, and it's even more self-defeating. I really hope he chooses Kumogakure Village, so that I will wait for him to be delivered to the door, and then personally bring him hang the head on the sealed gate." Unbridled laughter echoed in the heaven and earth. Seeing this scene, Mifune secretly breathed a sigh of relief. No matter how nasty the 4th generation wreckage said. In Mifune's eyes, it was enough as long as this group of big men didn't fight. What's more, in the eyes of Mifune, if you really want to choose between Namikaze Minato and the 4th generation of wreckage, he leans more towards the 4th generation wreckage. A missing nin leading a group of missing nin, to be able to capture a ninja village, is simply bullshit. Minato, let's forget it. Jiraiya dissipated the ninjutsu and couldn't help saying, maybe, it's really too much. Lord Wreckage. A hurried voice came, instantly tensing everyone's nerves. He hurriedly followed the voice, and the first thing that caught his eye was a figure descending from the sky. Dodai, what's going on? Aren't you stationed in the village? Wreckage the 4th generation froze and shouted in a deep voice. In Kumogakure Village, Dodai, as the teacher of 4 generations of wreckage to practice Thunder Plow Hot Knife, has always been favored by him. It is for this reason that when wreckage of the 4th generation went to the Iron Country, he did not bring Dodai with him, but brought Killer Bee out instead. In order to be able to better defend the village of Kumogakure. Yes, it was the rebellion of the Kagaya clan that made her way go mad. Dodai said anxiously. But as soon as the words blurted out, the 4th generation wreckage grabbed his shoulders. That group of bastards actually rebelled again. If I knew that day, I would kill them all as soon as I came to power. The rolling words were filled with awe-inspiring murderous intent. Facing this violent scene, the expressions of the people present changed drastically. To the so-called Kagaya clan. After all, the riots that broke out in the Golden Horn and Silver Corner that day were not small. It just made them never expect that when the 5 Shadows Conference was held, the 2 major forces in Kumogakure Village left the village. They even chose to riot again at this juncture, and they also borrowed our way to implement it. Brother, let's go back immediately. Killer Bee said anxiously. In their opinion, in the current Kumogakure village, no one can suppress the rebellion of the 2 Tails and the Kagaya clan. Dodai also desperately escaped from the village to tip off the news. The face of this crisis, Kumogakure village is in dire straits, even if it does survive. Seeing that Killer Bee and the 4th generation of wreckage were about to leave, Dodai looked around and said hesitantly, Sir Wreckage, don't worry, I have something. I don't know if I should say it, or we should find a place to talk in private. Report. Chapter 260 _ good to go. Bastard, at this time, what else should I say? Is there anything I can't be ashamed of? Wreckage in front of them. The 4th wreckage roared. In his eyes, now Kumogakure village is in dire straits, and Dodai still intends to sell off, which is something he cannot tolerate. That, Lord Raikage, you asked me to say it. Dodai looked around hesitantly and said, when Jinmu and Silvermu rebelled and Erwei rioted, Uchiha Chinyu just sneaked into Kumogakure village. Then, he seemed to have a little friendship with Niyugito and Samui, and he took care of Kaneki and Silverwood, and then Neo also surrendered in public and left with him. The timid voice swept the audience like a hurricane at this moment. Whether it is the fourth generation Raikage, or Rasa and others who echoed the statement not long ago, their cheeks are twitching involuntarily. A moment ago, they were still boasting about Heiko, and they never thought that this slap in the face would come too quickly. Kumogakure village, which is known as the most powerful military force, was able to infiltrate, and he also helped Kumogakure village to solve the rebellion, and together with Futao surrendered and left. Is a huge gap compared with the copper wall and the iron wall that the fourth generation Raikage just mentioned. The twitching cheeks of the fourth generation Raikage, Dodai couldn't help but ask, Sir Raikage, would you allow me to continue to explain one or two? Explain. The fourth generation Raikage was furious, and in full view of the public, his whole body skyrocketed, and he went straight to Dodai and grabbed it. However, as soon as he moved, Namikaze Minato appeared in front of the fourth Raikage like a ghost and grabbed his wrist. The thunder light was crackling, but in the face of this terrifying scene, Namikaze Minato seemed to be unaware, and said in a deep voice, Fourth generation Raikage, I didn't expect that your oath just now would be tested so quickly. This time, Uchiha Chinyu just suppressed the rebellion in Kumogakure village and took away Erwei, but next time I don't know how things will evolve. Before things get out of hand, I hope that the fourth generation will Raikage, you can think carefully about what I just suggested. As soon as these words came out, the atmosphere in the field became a little stagnant. Whether it was Rasa, or 2 days of Onoki, even Karataki Yagura's expression changed slightly. Moment ago, they were still able to hold the 5 kingdoms by themselves, and the huge shinobi village was their support, and they could despise Namikaze Minato's words. Pity that what Uchiha Chinyu is doing now has subverted their cognition. If it is really deduced according to Namikaze Minato, it is completely unimaginable to what extent the ninja world will evolve. Bastard! The fourth generation Raikage roared, and under the skyrocketing thunder, Namikaze Minato's hand smashed into the air. At the same time, the right arm suddenly swung, and swept away with a stern sound of breaking the air. The violent attack shook everyone's nerves. The face of Namikaze Minato's proposal, Raikage turned to each other, which meant the negotiations had failed. Boom! The violent sonic boom suddenly burst out, and the blow of the hand was directly missed. Namikaze Minato reappeared beside Jiraiya again. Looking at the fourth generation Raikage who was full of anger, he opened his mouth and stopped talking. However, before he could finish his sentence, Tsunade's detective stopped him. Minato, that's all for now. Now that Raikage has a choice, the Five Shadows conference held this time is meaningless. Let's go. Those words, Tsunade turned around and left first. Jiraiya also patted Namikaze Minato on the shoulder and said, Let's go back to the teacher, you have done your duty, and to what extent the ninja world will develop in the future, we Konoha Ninja Village have done our best to avoid it. Although Jiraiya and Tsunade are not Hokage, but the weight of this speech is still very large. Seeing the two of them leave, Namikaze Minato was silent for a moment, then clasped his fists and said, Since everyone has made a decision, then Minato will leave first. If there is anything that needs mutual assistance, our Konoha Shinobi Village can also provide help within our capacity. However, I'm still an old saying, don't underestimate Uchiha Chinyu. As his friend, even I can't do anything about his strength. He is a good person and a bad person. Voice fell, Namikaze Minato squeezed the surgical seal in his hand, and under Hiraishin's art, he disappeared like a ghost out of thin air. Konoha Shinobi representative who had disappeared completely, the tense atmosphere in the field eased a little, but there was obviously another inexplicable taste. The so-called Five Shadows Conference almost broke out before it even started. The end, the purpose of joining forces was not achieved, which made many people subconsciously set their sights on Karatake Yagura. After all, the person who presided over the Five Shadows meeting this time was him. Feeling the change in the atmosphere in the field, Karatake Yagura's cheeks twitched slightly. He thought that the convening of this meeting would promote the alliance of Five Shadows, but that was his moment of brilliance. However, the results obtained now have subverted his cognition. He really underestimated Uchiha Chinyu's means, and at the same time he didn't expect that such a mess would happen in Kumogakure village at this juncture. Thinking that the transaction plan with Black Zetsu had evolved to this point, Karatake Yagura looked at Mifune with a livid face, and forced a smile on his face. Mifune, as the leader of the Iron Country, you also know that knowing the danger level of Uchiha Chinyu and witnessing the attitude of Konoha Ninja Village, as a neutral country, I want to know what decision you will make in the end. Quote. Facing the gaze of the other three shadows, Karatake Yagura obviously intends to pour his attention and dirty water on Mifune's body. Moreover, these remarks put a tall hat on Mifune. Even the decision of the four major countries needs to seek the opinion of your country of iron. If you say this, it is simply arrogant, and your face is also covered with gold. Hehe, the fourth generation of Mizukage, you really look down on me, a small iron country. This time I just follow the usual practice, as a neutral country, to provide a venue for your five major countries to negotiate. As for how you will deal with Konoha missing Ninuchiha Chinyu, I am not qualified to comment. Shameless to say, no matter how the dispute between the five major countries Ryu and Uchiha Chinyu evolves, as long as it does not endanger the stability and peace of our iron country, we have no intention of meddling in your affairs. You. Karatake Yagura's expression suddenly turned ashen. He never thought that what he said just now would be completely useless to Mifune. Okay, since the Five Shadows Conference can't be held, the fourth generation of Reikage also has a big business to go back to deal with, and Tsuchikage and Kazekage are not here either. Then, Mr. Mizukage, I will leave. Mifune looked at it, Karatake Yagura at a glance. The country of iron has its own weight in being able to stand in a big country for so long. If there is not enough strength to control the overall situation, how can we always maintain a neutral status in the game of great powers?